Welcome to what are we calling this one? Hopeless Romantics discuss romantic comedies. That's what we're discussing tonight. We're straying from my usual live stream just to discuss romantic comedies, joined by my usual guests, Sharon and Mike. Come on.
Well, hello.
Hello.
I got a purring kitty.
You got a purring kitty.
Talk about
Cutie.
love. He's loving
Cutie
on me
patootie.
real hard.
So we're doing romantic comedies to discuss today because there was, a while back I put up on my community page here on YouTube, like asked, what kinds of things do you want us to discuss for like media topics? And one person voted in the poll and voted for romantic comedy. So that was
there you go.
that was why we decided to plan this. I have been voraciously watching romantic comedies all weekend. I've probably gotten through like somewhere between 10 and 15 in preparation for this stream, just because my memory is shot, that I was like didn't remember a lot of details from all of my favorite romantic comedies from the past, and then as I'm watching, I was like, I gotta make notes about this, and I'm just connecting it to one of my relationships of the past. So I will probably be bringing up that sort of thing as we're discussing these romantic comedies. And it's one of my favorite genres, I think, but it's also probably the genre that fucked me up the most in terms of expectations for romance.
I mean, we've talked about my fucked up nature in how I viewed romantic relationships because of Zorro.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Zorro.
Sharon, what's your relationship with romantic comedies in general?
That's a good question. I mean, like obviously growing up, I wasn't a big fan of them, but like the more I got into them, I'm using my writer's brain. Is the hardest thing a writer can do is to make your audience laugh. And I've noticed that the things about romantic comedies as well, from a producer's point of view, they're cheap to make, they get the most money, and they're a great way of putting your name out there. For example, I'm sure you two know, I think in the 90s and early 2000, Matthew McConaughey was just Mr. Romantic Comedy. He was everywhere, wasn't he?
Failure to launch his
yeah.
career.
Yeah, but look at him now. Like, there's a lot of people that start off on pigeonholed towards that thing, both men and women, and look at them now. So, yeah, it's just one of those.
Reese Witherspoon.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Interestingly, Matthew McConaughey is one of my least favorite rom-com actors. I don't think I have any of his rom-coms in my collection at all. What were his, like, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days?
How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
Failure to Launch, you just said.
Yeah.
He was in quite a few. I can't remember. I mean, that's the point. I can't remember them off the top of my head, but he was in at least 5 during that 90s, 2000s run that were quite mainstream. But I was just like, oh.
Let's find out.
Mike's getting out his phone to look up Matthew McConaughey. I have let's start with, do you guys have like a favorite rom-com or like a go-to rom-com anytime that you're in the mood for one? Like,
You've Got Mail.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one. What else? I don't know, like Three to Tango is a personal favorite of mine. I don't know whether you two know. Yeah, Three to Tango is a great one. But that's the thing with me is I think a lot of them are attached to my own life. Like if I watched them when I was young, I have that emotional resonance with them, no matter regardless of how quote unquote good or not so good they are. So yeah, I think it all depends on the person.
No, that's why, like, we all have our kind of different connections, which is why I'm going to be, as we talk about different rom-coms, I'm going to be bringing up like my personal connections with the different rom-coms and why they are for different reasons. But since Mike mentioned You've Got Mail, this is a really, I don't know if you guys remember, like this is a US style of DVD.
I had that exact copy.
Me too.
It's so, because it's not the typical style of DVD case.
No.
But I bought this in the US when I came to visit in 2004, 2005. And that was one of the styles that they released of DVDs back in those days, I guess. But it's funny that you should mention that, Mike, because that rewatching that movie in October was one of the reasons that I wanted to do a live stream discussion about romantic comedies. And I'll explain why. The reason I was watching You've Got Mail in October was because I woke up one morning and I was thinking, oh shit, I'm doing this thing in my life that's really a dumb thing that feels like a modern day You've Got Mail. And I'll explain.
Yes, please do.
So,
If you do that, I'm going to fill my cup.
So my explanation for this is, okay, so I've talked about on some of my other streams in the past, I have this Malaysian ex. I use the pseudonym.
Is this too obnoxious?
It's very loud.
Keep going. Malaysian ex.
I have this Malaysian. Yeah, I use the pseudonym Leigh for him. That's not his real name, but to protect his identity, that's the name that I use because it's the name that I've used for him in all of my memoir writing that I've done about him. And so he is also a live streamer. I don't know if he's currently. Sounds like you're peeing.
Yeah.
Keep going. Go on.
Jesus. No, so he's. Yeah, I don't know if he's currently like live streaming regularly because I have since stopped following anything he's doing online. But back in October, he was live streaming regularly, and he had decided that he didn't want to stay connected to me anymore. But I was still like following him on like, even though I'd unfollowed him everywhere on social media, I was still watching or choosing to watch him online. And back in October, I made the mistake of using a pseudonym to chat on his live streams. So I knew who he was, but he didn't know who I was as I was chatting. And after like a couple of times... Is this
not known as catfishing?
I'll get to that in a minute.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right.
Sorry, I lost my train of thought now. So I was typing on, as this character, but everything I said in the stream was accurate and 100% personal for me. I was just using a different name. And after 2 live streams of me doing that, I was like, hang on a minute, is this kind of like I'm like Tom Hanks in You've Got Mail? Because, in You've Got Mail, when Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan, they start communicating and have no idea who each other are. And when they meet in real life, they hate each other.
Yes.
But they make a decision to meet each other in person. When he goes to see her, he realizes, oh shit, it's her. She's not gonna.
He knows who she is, but
yes.
She doesn't know who he is.
Yes. So I kind of got it in my head. I was like, oh man, I'm like Tom Hanks in Meg Ryan. Like I know who he is. He doesn't realize that it's me. And so as after the watch the show, I'm like, am I doing a You've Got Mail thing here? Is this what's going to happen? Like if I keep like commenting in his chat and like, because the way that Leigh was reacting to me, it was like seeming like he was really interested in keeping me around to chat in his live streams because he was just like really engaged with everything I had to say. Because of course, like I know what he likes. I know how to engage him, right?
You have an insight to the beast.
And but then I reached the point of being like, you know what, it feels wrong. Like if I go too far, that I'm genuinely going to reach a point where I'm basically catfishing him. I didn't go in intending to catfish him, but that's what it felt like it was going with the way that he was responding to what I said in the live stream. I was like, you know what, I can't keep doing this. This is wrong. Romcoms aren't real. Right? It's not going to turn out the way that you've got mailed to us, where she's actually happy to be with him.
I mean, that's...
not with that attitude.
Oh.
So I ended up deciding to stop, and then but I went back for one more stream to say, look, I'm going to stop, and then he was like begging me to stay, and I was like it felt so bad. And then so I was like, you know, I can't pretend that it wasn't me. So I ended up messaging him just to let him know that it was me, because I was like, if I leave it too long, then he finds out later, then it's going to be, you know, he's probably going to feel even more
unless the catfish just ghosts him, and then he's just like, hey, whatever happened to that catfish, and then it just goes away on its own.
Yeah, very true.
I genuinely could have done that,
because here's the thing, by letting him know, I mean, it's after the fact now, so there's no good reason for me to even bring this up, but I'm going to anyway. Because now, because you outed yourself, now sorry, I'm playing with one of these things. So if you hear me farting,
that's
probably
ASMR.
Because now he whenever he gets into some of these live streams and people start interacting with him, he might be thinking,
yeah,
is this Dominica or is this somebody else?
Well, that was why I confessed to it, though, because it would stop me from doing that again, right?
It'll stop you, but it won't stop him from thinking he might be still getting catfished.
Well, then maybe he needs to do. Look,
maybe he needs a giant.
My behavior in that has made me wonder if people have done that to me in a live stream.
Haven't we all been the beneficiary? You know what I'm trying to say. The beneficiaries of being catfished at one time or another in varying degrees.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
give yourself a little grace.
Probably. But no, I mean, so obviously I learned from it, but it was just absurd. But I think so confessing to him was more for myself than it was for him, because it gave me more freedom to be able to talk about it publicly now. Like, it was the reason that I was able to start doing my my other live stream podcast, Real Talk with a Vulnerable Angel, which I named after the pseudonym I was using to chat on his live stream.
Vulnerable Angel. Interesting.
Angel was the name that I used to catfish. It's like, it's not really catfishing.
But it was. Yeah. At the time of engagement, you were less than forthright about your identity.
Yes. But, you know, there was a part of me that, like, everything that I said, I kept hoping, like, he's got to figure out that it's me, right? Like, I'm revealing the fact that I have 2 kids. I'm revealing the fact that I live in the United States. I'm revealing what time zone I'm in. If he had done, like, an ounce of investigation, like I mentioned going to see Joe Coy perform stand-up comedy, and when I did, if he had Googled Joe Coy and seen where he was performing, he would have been able to locate where specifically I was living, you know? And clearly he didn't do that. And so, yeah, it was, I just revealed so much about things that I kept hoping that he would have realized that it was me, because I felt like I kept saying things that he should have been able to figure out. Like, we had some conversation on there that he and I had a conversation about previously about the fact that I still had my old Nintendo console, you know? And for example, he talked about how his mum defeated the Nintendo game Bubble Bobble, and I was like, I also defeated it, and that was something I had told him previously as well. So I'm just like, dude,
Yeah.
how have you not figured this out yet? There was one point on the stream where he started singing There She Goes from by Sixpence None the Richer, and I commented, I was like, oh, Sixpence None the Richer, like I got really excited, and then he got excited that I knew who Sixpence None the Richer were. And that led to us talking about the song Kiss Me from Sixpence None the Richer,
Yep.
which is the classic song from She's
Every
All That.
rom-com.
Yeah, right.
She's
Yeah,
all, well, specifically She's All That, though. Yeah. And She's All That is the rom-com that I first connected with Leigh about, like back when we were friends in 2014. Before I knew that I was going to be moving to California, you know, he came over and we had a conversation, and we were talking about She's All That, and how much I like loved that film because I connected with Rachel Lee Cook's character, and I'm like, I always wanted to be like, you know, have that kind of, I never got to have that kind of makeover and have a guy choose me in that kind of situation. And Leigh was
Me
like,
neither.
You're the guys. And
We like a little pampering from time to time.
Yeah, man.
Looks like a nipple right now.
I know. The more I play with this, the more I keep thinking, like, is this just a boob?
Wow, it's well, maybe appropriate for this stream. No, but and Leigh told me like he.
Don't forget about that. There you go.
Is that very distracting, Mike? No, but Leigh had a massive.
Can anyone tell that I have blue balls right now?
When you show them to us, just one, right?
Just the one.
Oh, there it goes.
You're taking away from the serious conversation.
I'm sorry. It's all you started the soliloquy.
I got distracted. So anyway, so Leigh had told me, you know, back in 2014 that you know, he had a crush on Rachel Lee Cook in She's All That, but he liked that he liked her pre-transformation, you know, pre-makeover in that movie.
Yeah.
And I think that was one of, like, that conversation that I had with him back then was one of the things that made me realize that I was developing a crush on him, because it was like, but I identified with that character. That's just like me. Does that mean that I'm his type? Like, you know, like that's what was going through my mind through all of that. And so, so bringing that back up in the live stream of one of his live streams, I was like, oh my God, this is like reminiscent of that whole thing. So, and
now here we are.
And here we are.
How about you, Sharon? What rom-coms have you connected with over the years?
I don't know. I mean, like, these ones are like, I mean, they kind of vary between cheesy and stuff for guys that I really like. Like, I don't know, just like that. But I was telling Dominica, like, for some reason, I tend to gravitate towards some that are so bad they're good.
Such as?
Like, for example, let me bring up a list. So, for example, you have, did you ever see that film Good Luck Chuck with Dane Cook and Jessica?
Of course I did. Yeah,
I mean, it's horrible.
Tell us about it.
Oh, it's just awful. Pretty much, it's the guy that with who every time he sleeps with someone, she'll like lose interest in him, and so he's like,
so it's like a reverse stereotype.
You're bearing the lead.
Yeah, well, yeah, and then there's all kinds of different ones, like even the you know, the hottie and the naughty, the one with Paris Hilton. That was a good one. Yeah, so just a bit of fun.
Wait, did you describe Good Luck Chuck?
Yeah, it's just like if the idea of what is it? This guy is cursed to whenever he sleeps with someone, they won't they'll fall out of love with him.
No. Good Luck Chuck is whenever someone sleeps with him, the very next person they date
fall in love
is
with
the person they end up marrying. It's their
that's
soulmate.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So in that instance, people will line up to sleep with him, but he won't actually find the one for himself.
Yeah. So like he thinks he's getting the better of the two deals of like, hey, I get to sleep with all these people and all this meaningless sex and it's wonderful. And then he finds the love of his life who doesn't want to sleep with him. Because she doesn't want the next person to be the love of their life.
Gotcha.
So,
wow,
it was actually kind of an interesting story, but or gimmick. But yeah, not a great movie, but like it's fun. It's fun.
You know, I feel like it's making me think about how many rom-coms exist where there are just like really shitty guy characters where they're all about the sexual side of things and the story goes, the woman is there to tame the man to fall in love with him rather than, tame him out of that wanting to sleep with multiple women kind of thing. One that comes to mind is one that I watched yesterday as I was preparing for this, which is Someone Like You. Are you guys familiar with this one?
Yeah, man.
Familiar with it? Never seen it.
Wolverine, yeah.
Wolverine. Yes, Hugh Jackman, Ashley Judd, and Greg Kinnear. So I guess the premise is Ashley Judd is, she ends up getting a crush on one of her co-workers who turns out to be in a relationship with somebody else. So they have like this secret fling, and then he ends up breaking up with his partner to be with her. But as soon as he does, then he gets cold feet and ends their relationship. And so then she has this comes up with this whole theory about new cow syndrome or whatever. So she's basically says that once a guy has hooked up with a woman, then suddenly once he has her, then he doesn't want her anymore. And then she forms as a result. So she was going to move in with the guy she was cheating on with, and after they broke up, but he's like, oh, I can't do this anymore. So she ends up having to move in with Hugh Jackman, who is a massive casual sex man. Like he just hooks up with women and is very honest with them about it, and not looking for anything serious. But then they end up she ends up being attracted to him in the end, and they fall in love with each other, and so she kind of tames him, I guess, in the sense. But there's not that much development to show that they should have reached that point. A little bit, but not to the extent that they are just like clearly should be together.
Some like modern, more recent rom-coms?
Yeah, well,
I'm trying to think, and nothing's coming to mind.
We just clearly haven't seen any. Rebel Wilson has been in a couple, but I'm going to bring up a couple of Netflix ones because I just watched them yesterday specifically for this. Rewatched them, also because they parallels with some parallels with my relationship with Leigh as well. So there's the Ali Wong and Randall Park. Always Be My Maybe.
Oh yeah, that got Netflix a lot of buzz lately.
It's I love it. So Asian American romantic comedy. I don't know if any other Asian American romantic comedies exist that I'm aware of. because I don't
What
think
about
Crazy Rich Asians doesn't count because it's set in Singapore.
what does that have to do with anything?
Because I said Asian American.
Oh, Asian. Yeah, but it's still a rom-com.
Yes, but it's also
it's not Asian
specific.
American.
Yes.
Rom-com. Gotcha.
Yes.
Gotcha.
It's half Asian American, half Asian, I guess.
Gotcha.
And but that was the first like big one, I guess, of Hollywood produced Asian rom-com. Then so where I was going. So Always Be My Maybe. So it's about these two people who, you know, they're friends since childhood. And then they end up losing their virginity to each other and being like super awkward about it. So they part ways for many years. And then she becomes like this famous chef. And she's based in LA, but she comes back to San Francisco. It's set in San Francisco, or primarily set in San Francisco. She comes back to San Francisco and reconnect with him. Or not. That's not why she comes. She comes back to open a restaurant, but then she ends up reconnecting with him, and they kind of. After she has a fling with Keanu Reeves as himself, which is just hilarious. They end up like getting together for a while. And there's a lot. I felt like there's a lot of parallels with that and my relationship with Leigh as well, because you know, they're being friends first. That was the same thing with me and Leigh. We were friends first. And yeah, I'm just pulling up my notes because I made notes about these things.
You really did your homework.
I was doing my homework. I had a lot I wanted to be able to talk about this with passion and pizzazz. I guess, like, I know what I'm talking about. So she, so he is, he works for his dad as like an air conditioning repair person and like installer and stuff. But he's also is has a side thing where he's in a band and he doesn't care about making it big. He just likes doing local spots. Like anytime that people suggest that he even perform in a different part of San Francisco, he's like, oh no, I don't feel comfortable with that. And so like she's super supportive of him with this with his band stuff that he does. And she's like, you could be bigger than this, you could be doing so much more. And he's like, oh no, this is all I want to do. And yeah, she gets to a point where she's only meant to be in San Francisco for a couple of months to open up the restaurant before she goes to New York to open a new restaurant. And she wants him to come with her. And he's like, no, I can't, and he gives the excuse that like he's his dad's carer and he needs to be around for him and all of this stuff. And so she yells at him that you know, she loves him, and then calls him a coward for refusing to come with her to New York. And
come on,
like,
Allie.
and I'm just like, oh man, it's so much like my relationship with Leigh. Like, she's put to words what I felt but didn't say to Leigh. It was like because I wanted him to come to California to be with me. Yeah. And I told him that. Like, I told him I wanted him to come here, and he gave me the excuse. It's like, oh no, I need to be around for, like, I have my family kind of stuff responsibilities that I need to be in Malaysia for. And I didn't call him a coward directly, but I totally thought it in my head that he was such a coward for not going after what he actually wanted with me.
Did you at least call him a cow?
Well,
halfway there.
Funny you should say that, because he has dressed as a cow in stand-up comedy before.
Moo moo buckaroo.
I have a picture of me standing next to him in a cow costume. It's hilarious. But no, I'm not. I don't think I actually called him a cow. It's like, but that's a whole thing. And so I felt like a similar kind of connection with that. It was like, he also has not gone as far as he could with his stand-up comedy career because he holds himself back. And I felt like that, that's the same thing with Ali Wong's character Sasha saying to Randall Park's character Marcus, is like, you could be doing more. And like, for me, like, if Leigh had come to California to he would have been able to build his career up much better here than what he's able to do in Malaysia. But he's like, fucking coward. Fucking coward. And so yeah, there's a scene where Marcus ends up talking to his dad about how Sasha had gone to New York, and his dad is just like, why didn't you go with her? And he's like, but I have to stay here. And even his dad calls him like to like stop making excuses. So it's like, it made me wonder. I wonder if Leigh had talked to his family about me and about his relationship with me, would they have supported him and told him to go after things with me, or would they have had that kind of impression of him needing to stay in Malaysia? Like, I don't know that kind of cultural aspect of things there. But yeah, like, so I even wrote down like the exact quote. So Marcus's dad says in response, you're just using me as an excuse to not live your own life. And I was like, fuck yes. Fuck yes.
So this raises an interesting question. And this happens a lot. Like, that's a standard trope in rom-coms, right?
Mhm.
One person doesn't follow the other, and then they feel bad about it, and somebody else in their life, makes them realize that they're being dumb, and so then they run after the person they're in love with, right?
Yeah.
This happens over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
Which raises the question, like, okay, so for the narrative of the story, that's what needs to happen, right? That's the deus ex machina.
Mm-hmm.
That's the driving force that they need in their lives to realize, sorry, I just felt really weird about what I just did. I was like, that doesn't explain anything, Mike. It explains everything, but explains nothing. So it raises this bigger question of, is that drive, is that push off the ledge really what people need? Because sometimes people need to let that love go.
Mm.
Sometimes people need to be left behind, even though it hurts and it's painful, because what they're like, let's just take Randall Park's character, for instance. The story needed Marcus to chase after Ali Wong's character, right? The story needed that because it's a romantic comedy. You need those happy togetherness kind of vibes, right? But maybe it was more necessary for Marcus to stay at home for himself. I mean, yeah, he's using his father as an excuse, but maybe it was more important to him to take care of his father, because his father is his everything, right? Like, maybe there's a part of him that wouldn't be able to live with himself if he left and something happened to his dad.
Yeah, okay.
Even if his dad's like, you have to go chase after the love of your life, and then, like, as soon as he gets on the plane, no one's there to, like, help
Okay.
dear dad swallow the food properly.
And this is, well, his dad is perfectly capable of taking care of himself, and that's
Well,
one of the things that his dad says. But no, I do. And the other thing is that at this point, his dad has a girlfriend, so like he's not alone. He's not going to be left alone.
True. I think if I may, like, I think it's very much so a cultural difference, especially with. I mean, obviously, I don't assume to speak for all Asians, but just in Southeast Asia, where I was raised and where I'm from right now, basically, even for a child, even when you reach adulthood, usually you still remain in the family home, not because you don't want to leave, but because you have duties, responsibilities. Like, for example, when you're it's very much in our culture to, when we're older, like, when it starts off with your parents looking after you, when it gets to that age, it becomes your duty to do the same, to reciprocate. So maybe, I mean, even though, let's say, father figure, mother figure, or what have you, will say, go chase your dreams, do what you want to do. It's a very different animal. So even if you feel like you can, it doesn't mean necessarily that you should, because it's part of the societal thing ingrained into you that you have a responsibility to look after those who came before you.
Yeah.
So maybe that.
Yeah. No, and I get that. Like, and that's why, the cultural differences was definitely something that got in the way. And I'll speak to keeping the faith soon as well, because I've noticed a lot of parallels with that film and my relationship with Leigh as well. But it actually wasn't his dad pushing him that got Marcus to do anything. He did try calling her a bunch, and like she didn't answer her phone while she was in York. And it took him going to her restaurant in the film, in the San Francisco one, and accidentally wandering into her office in this restaurant and seeing that she had purchased all of the merchandise for his band online. So like she had been supporting him from a distance without him being aware. Like one of the phone calls that he'd made to her is like, telling her that he had made this online store for the merchandise for his band. And so she was buying all of this merchandise and supporting him financially in this way, but not revealing that it was her. And there's like, oh shit. Like that's kind of how I felt like what I was doing with watching Leigh's YouTube stuff. It's like I'm watching his videos, and like, because he has enough subscribers on his YouTube channel that he makes money from ads. And so like anytime that I'm watching them, I was like, I'm supporting him however minutely that I can by watching ads on his YouTube channel, right? And so I felt like I was doing a similar kind of thing. It's like, oh man, I've been doing this and supporting him in secret with him having no idea that I'm still supporting him from a distance. And yeah, but like that's not the only film where it's been like I watched a lot of, as I said, a lot of rom-coms over the weekend, and there were a bunch of them that had, a friend or a family member give that push of like, you need to go after this person because clearly you love them. Notting Hill was another one. Keeping the Faith as well. And so like as I'm watching these things, I was like, oh man, that why my rom-com style of a story with Leigh, the reason that he and I didn't work out, because he refused to talk to anyone about our relationship, that he never had anyone who could give him the push and tell him to to come after me.
Could be.
But I mean, I no longer have any hope or anticipation of something like that happening. But I think that's one of the reasons that I held on to so much hope for our relationship in the past, because our story started out so much like a rom-com that it just felt like it would have made sense to finish? Like what?
So, in a very similar vein, I don't know if I have ever told this. I'm pretty sure I told the story. When I was in high school, there was this girl that I fell in puppy love with. I fell infatuation with, and I had convinced myself. Let's just call her Susan. How's that?
Sure.
So I fell in puppy love with Susan, and we never dated. And I just imagined us having the most wonderful relationship because it never happened. It was completely fabricated in my mind, in my memory. And while I was going through all of this, one of the very popular television shows at the time was Frasier. And even though it's not a rom-com film per se, it's a television show. The romantic comedy aspect of between Niles and Daphne,
Mm-hmm.
Niles being, for anyone who's not familiar with Frasier, Niles is Frasier's brother. They're two psychiatrist brothers who are kind of in competition with each other, but they're very close. They're best friends. And Daphne is the woman who comes to live with Frasier and his father as an in-home healthcare specialist for Frasier's dad, Martin. So of course Niles is married to a woman that he's convinced himself that he loves her, but he doesn't really love her. But he falls head over heels for Daphne.
Mm.
And over the course of 7 seasons, and it took 7 seasons for them to get together, I had always pictured when I was younger that, all right, well, I just have to wait. I just have to be that person to wait in the wings.
Perseverance is key.
And as long as I'm just still around, as long as she doesn't marry anybody else, and it we were really close friends, like really, really close friends for a very, very long time. And she eventually got married, and my heart was broken, and it wasn't until I met somebody else years later that a friend who sat me down, and she was like, Mike, she was never the girl for you. She's still out there. And after kind of confronting it head on and all that stuff, I was convinced that my story with Susan was going to be Niles and Daphne. And I put so much stock in that television relationship in comparison with my own fantasy relationship with Susan. It was a fool's errand. But it also begs the question, had that not happened, maybe I would not have been in a place to meet my current wife, Kim.
Yeah.
Whom I love dearly, and we're best friends.
So it sounds like, though, that Frasier kind of fucked you up in terms of what you thought you should do with that situation.
I'm not going to say that it fucked me up. I will say that it gave me a false narrative.
Yeah.
It allowed me. How am I trying to say this? Like when people have an agenda, and let's just say like a religious agenda, and so they go to the Bible and they cobble together
they zero in on something and make it fit that narrative. Yeah.
I was looking for a reason, and I feel like Niles and Daphne from Frasier, that supported my reason, so I just clung on to that, and I romanticized that television yearning, and just made it my own, thinking that it was going to finish the same way that it did for them.
Yeah.
FYI, guys, sorry if you hear some thumping, it's because we're having some construction downstairs. So.
Are you sure it's not Chumbawamba?
You get knocked down, you get up again. Yeah, that too.
Yeah, and all of their tub thumping.
Yeah.
Before I get on to the next thing I want to talk about, kind of connected to this stuff, I'm going to pull up some of Daniel's comments because Daniel is
Daniel's
watching.
here.
Yes. So he did join quite a bit earlier when I was talking about Leigh doing stand-up as a cow. So I'll bring up that comment first. Dressed as a stand-up comedy cow. I bet the crowd found that quite moving. Look, that joke is actually very appropriate because at the time, Leigh did one-liners, and all of his one-liners were cow one-liners when he dressed up as a cow. So that's a very appropriate joke.
You know, Daniel, just like a cow walking through tall, tall grass, that joke utterly tickled.
And then he commented on your Susan name for your girl.
As it turns out, her name was actually Susan.
What if that was the reveal?
Yeah.
What if the whole thing
could
was
be.
me just going, oh, her name is Susan. I can't tell everyone what her name was. Let's just call her Susan.
And then he says, Frasier didn't fuck you up, Mike. It was the tossed salads and scrambled eggs. They were calling again.
Very true, Daniel. Very true.
Scrambled eggs all over my face. What is a boy to do? Bum, bum, bum.
But what can you do?
So I wanted to talk about Keeping the Faith, which I mentioned earlier. Keeping the Faith was the film that I watched over the weekend that made me go, oh shit, I need to start taking notes about this before I for the stream. Because okay, so if you're not familiar with the film Keeping the Faith, it stars Ben Stiller, Edward Norton, and Jenna Elfman.
From Dharma and Greg film.
It was Jenna Elfman's from Dharma and Greg. If you're a millennial and you may have watched that that TV series, so the film was released in 2000, and it's about these three childhood friends. They were best friends in childhood. Ben Stiller's character grows up to become a rabbi. Edward Norton's character grows up to become a priest. Jenna Elfman's character, she left New York when they were kids, and then she comes back and reconnects with them, and she ends up having a situationship with Ben Stiller's character, the rabbi.
Okay, before you go too far, now that you've explained it up to this point, you have just jogged my memory. I have not seen this movie, but I have been wanting to see this movie. And I've just now realized that this is that movie that I've been wanting to see. So please don't tell too much about it because I still want to watch it.
Oh no! Okay.
It's a good film. It's a good film.
Okay, I will. Okay, so you don't want the spoilers for the end, I guess, right?
Correct. Yes, please. No spoilers.
All right, let's see.
If it helps, I can just kind of do this for a little bit, and then you wave me back in.
Maybe.
Okay. So I'm going to turn the volume down on this, or I'll just mute.
And then I'll wave at you when you can come back. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. So with the story, Jake, who is Ben Stiller's character, and Anna, who is Jenna Elfman's character, they enter a situationship, very much like my relationship with Leigh was. It was a situationship. It wasn't meant to be anything serious. We were just having fun. But she ends up falling in love with him and telling him, that she's fallen in love with him and wants something serious with him. And she's willing to give up her job opportunity to move to, I think it's San Francisco, to stay and be with him in New York. And he's like, no, it's a good opportunity. You need to go to New York. And I was like, oh my God, this is so much like how when I told Leigh that I was in love with him back in 2014, then he needed to then he didn't tell me he loved me back. He just told me that I needed to go to San Francisco. And so and like for in the movie, Jake's reasons for like not wanting to have something serious is for cultural differences. He thought that he needed to marry a Jewish woman, which Anna was not. Little did he know she wasn't. She'd been like studying the Jewish faith to become Jewish. But he didn't know any of this. But he was like, my mum is not going to be supportive of this relationship. So, and I felt like that was so much like my, the cultural differences with my relationship with Leigh as well. Like there was a time where he directly told me that he didn't think that his mum would approve of us being together because he was Chinese and he had this idea that he needed to be with a Chinese woman to, make his family happy. And that kind of thing, so it's just like so many parallels I felt like, and I just wondered if that's being such a fan of that movie, was that one of the reasons why I accepted everything that I did in my relationship with Leigh? I was like, I was fine with the situationship because that story tells you that a situationship can lead to love and a happy relationship in the end, and all of this kind of thing. So yeah, that was a big big thing for me. All right, Mike.
Come back, buddy. Come on back. Yeah, I
Iron Man.
Wonder Woman and Iron Man.
What were we talking about?
Nothing.
I was mainly just saying that I wondered if that film was one of the reasons why I accepted the kinds of things in my relationship with Leigh that I did. But I don't. When I rewatched it over the weekend, I don't think I'd seen the film since before Leigh and I had got together. Like it's been that long. And so it was only in rewatching it that I recognized so many parallels. And I was like, oh my God.
I feel like since we're on the subject, I mean, in both your experiences, how do you find that your experience watching rom-coms actually affects your own love lives? Like the way you behave?
I would say it influenced my younger self, only because it reinforced stereotypes that are oftentimes not true.
Mm.
So like the whole idea, like the whole Nightingale effect. This whole idea that you can be a knight in shining armor as long as you save the girl in whatever capacity that looks like whether it's from like physical danger or being a harm to herself, or whatever that looks like, whatever that materializes as. If you are the knight in shining armor, then that's how you get women to fall in love with you. And that is so not even remotely true.
Yeah, it just goes on to the idea of the nice guy that finishes last kind of thing. Yeah, I mean that's what it is.
Yeah.
Very true.
Another thing that I noticed in a lot of the rom-coms that I watched is that and I was surprised because that I'd never picked up on this before until like watching a whole bunch back to back over the weekend, is that a lot of the times the woman is the first one to tell the guy that she wants to be with him, and is like, we should make this work. It happens in Notting Hill. It happens in Love Hard, which I'll talk about in a little while as well. And yeah, it's just, I think there were some other ones as well, but I'm just like, And I wonder if that did influence me and was one of the reasons why I was able to approach guys when I was into them. But I also, I don't know, it was a surprise because my memory of rom-coms is more like the guy is the one doing the pursuing and not so much or even someone like you, which we brought up, which I mentioned earlier. Ashley Judd is the one that tells Hugh Jackman first, like, I'm into you. Like, so
well, there's also this whole idea that like sometimes all it takes is a really kind woman to soften the heart of the grizzled man. And again, like it's a little bit of a role reversal, but it's those kinds of uh you know, if it was one story, cool, awesome. That's its own thing. It's telling the story of these two individuals. But when you start seeing those patterns emerge in more and more stories, then it helps to reinforce these ideas that they're real.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also it's not just that. It's also that, obviously, while men primarily pursue the women are in. They decide the relationship, don't they? I mean, like 9 times out of 10, the woman will break up with the man, saying, "Okay, I'm happy. I'm not happy." So, I mean, in some ways, it's more realistic that way.
Well, then you also have like those really fucking creepy things that people do, but if it's done in a rom-com, it's
Oh
not
God.
creepy.
Okay, so I have a great example of this. This is I was just talking about this to Sharon before the stream started. There's a Chris Evans rom-com called Playing It Cool, which I watched purely because it was set in San Francisco, and I was a tour guide at the time, and I was like looking for locations that I could point out in on my tours that were like movie locations. But the premise of it is basically like Chris Evans's character sees this woman at a party. She's in a relationship with someone else, but like he stalks her in order to meet her, and like does all of this like really stalkery kind of stuff to try and win her over. And I was like, ew, is this meant to be romantic? And I was like, that was awful.
Oh no, one person stalking might be another person's research. Who knows?
But she was like telling him no, and like he kept going after it. Like she was in a relationship. It's like, I'm in a relationship. I'm not, want to do this stuff. But he kept trying to pursue her. I don't remember all of the details of the film because it was just like that the stalking part was just like, oh, what are you doing?
Have you guys seen the movie? It's fairly new. It's called Bottoms.
No.
It's a high school. It's more of like a high school coming of age, coming to terms with your sexuality and who you are, and how we perceive relationships, and what is a healthy relationship and what is a non-healthy relationship and stuff like that. And while it technically wouldn't fall into the rom-com category, there definitely are like some romantic things that they address in terms of like who you so like the two main characters are two high school girls. They're both gay, and they've decided, all right, we're gonna go out, I'm gonna get this girl because she's like the apple of my eye, whatever. And the other girl's like, great, that's awesome, I'm gonna go get with this girl, she's the apple of my eye, whatever. And then it turns out that they inadvertently start a fight club in high school. It's really funny. The whole movie is really, really funny. But like as they go through this whole journey of like self empowerment and supporting women and listening to women, stuff like that, come to find out that these relationships that they have fantasized in their minds are not even remotely close to what uh, uh, what they are in reality. So it's not about the romantic side of the comedy. It's about the comedy side of the comedy. But yeah, I don't know. I thought that it had special purpose in this conversation. But if you guys haven't seen it, I recommend.
I've written it down, so I will go and check it out. So
it's a raunchy comedy, but it is really funny.
I'm gonna bring up some more chat comments. So Puppy Zach is watching. Hi, Zach.
Boy,
good to see you. He says stalking is his love language. So Zach, if I go back to Malaysia to stalk you, then that's how I'm gonna win your heart. Is that what we say?
Zach, do we need to talk? Do we need to have a conversation?
Zach also knows Leigh. So Zach, Leigh is the name that I'm using for the person that we discussed on the Baby Reindeer stream. That's the pseudonym I'm using for him.
Leigh.
Yes. And Daniel says, stalk someone in real life, restraining order. Stalk someone in rom-com, let's get married. Exactly. Exactly.
Yep.
That's how it is.
Can you guys, off the top of your head, do you guys know any rom-coms where it does end up that way, where someone gets a bit too infatuated and things go south? I can't.
In terms of, okay, well, I don't know if this is specifically what you're thinking of, but I did rewatch My Best Friend's Wedding over the weekend, and Julia Roberts does not end up with her best friend that she goes to try and win the heart of. But that's the only one that I can think of where
Dodgeball is kind of coming to mind. Now, people don't think of Dodgeball as a romantic comedy, like it's just a straight up comedy, but that whole movie is laced with romanticism. And if you just look at the relationship of Ben Stiller's character and his wife, I can't think of her name, Melanie.
Christine, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh yeah, Christine.
Something.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah.
Marsha.
Yeah. From the Brady
Marsha.
Bunch movie. Yeah. Side note: the first time I saw the Brady Bunch movie, I thought that was the actual Jan Brady from the TV show, which makes no sense because she'd be like 20 years older. But
yeah.
But yeah, like that whole stalkery creeper relationship. I mean, it was altered so that you're not rooting for Ben Stiller's character. He's the villain of the movie. But it's yeah.
Daniel says Christine Taylor.
Christine Taylor, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
But yeah, like you're still following the story of Ben Stiller trying, because again, from Ben Stiller's character, from his perspective, he's being the romantic one. He is as fucked up and as weird and as crazy as it is. He thinks he is doing what society. He's like the Michael Scott, right? He's following the rules that society has told him this works, and it clearly doesn't.
Yeah.
But with that story, the girl with the unibrow was actually after him the entire time, wasn't she? At the beginning.
I don't remember about the beginning. I know that she, during the dodgeball play, she fell in love with the tall, skinny guy from Average Joe's.
Yeah. So
good. Love it.
Daniel had one more comment from before, Mike, when you had your Iron Man and Wonder Woman up. Wonder Woman, so is this everything on you, Iron Man? Why don't you come back to my place and find out? Bring your golden lasso and let's get kinky.
Ooh la la.
I mean, that's a terrible thing for Iron Man to consent to. Bring your golden lasso? Bring the lasso of truth? Are you kidding me? Wonder Woman's gonna school your ass. She's going to get all the dirty secrets. She's going to find out how you make your suits, what you like with the alloys. She's going to find out everything.
Out of control, Jarvis.
She's going to take that shit back to Themyscira, and then they're going to like use that as the primary defense system of Themyscira. So
you thought this through, haven't you, Mike?
Tony Stark, you ass got played.
You got played.
Daniel also said the unibrow wound up with Justin Long's character.
Justin Long is the guy that got hit in the face with by Rip Torn. Was it with the wrench? You can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
Unibrow did not end up with Justin Long. Justin Long ended up with his high school cheerleader friend. Hold on. Hold on.
It's been a long time since I've seen Dodgeball, so I don't like remember any of the details at all.
I just love there's the jokes with Rip Torn's character where he's like, he's just consistently like causing grievous bodily harm to the team. He just like throws wrenches and what have you, and it's awful. I love it. It's great.
Oh, Mike's looking that up. Well, since, huh?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to move on to another movie. Since Pappy Zach is watching. Okay. Daniel does respond to that. Not Justin Long, my bad. The other weird nerdy dude. I don't know his name.
Yes, that's who I'm talking about. Tall, lanky guy.
So as I was saying, since Pappy Zach is watching, I want to bring up the movie Love Hard, which is another Netflix rom-com. Pappy Zach recommended this film to me back when it came out in it was 2021. Late 2021. It's a Christmas rom-com, and it is the only rom-com that I'm aware of that has a Chinese male character as the male protagonist. Jimmy O Yang, who I'm seeing perform stand-up comedy this coming weekend. Woohoo!
I was really hoping that you were going to end that sentence with Jimmy O Yang, whom I'm seeing.
That's Leigh's real nose. And a white girl. So like it's the only interracial couple rom-com that I've seen with that particular racial makeup. So you got to mirror your your screen.
Hey, if I had to do it, you have to do it.
You can unmirror your video.
How does one mirror this? Oh, there you go. Oh, yeah. There we go.
Hey,
there we go. There we go.
Love Hard.
Love Hard.
Yeah. So if you're not familiar with the film, I'll give you a brief synopsis. So the main character, let me say, Natalie, she is a writer. She writes under a pseudonym what she writes about is all of her terrible dating experiences. But her best friend tells her, maybe you need to broaden your search for who you connect with on this dating app. And so she ends up connecting with Jimmy O Yang's character, Josh, but Josh is using somebody else's pictures. So he is basically catfishing her, but like everything that he says to her is like genuine. So very similar situation to my situation with almost catfishing Leigh by commenting on his live streams. So I was like, as I'm rewatching this film, I'm like, oh my God, there's like parallels there again. And this is like the only rom-com that like I watched it specifically because it's the only same like racial differences or racial relationship as what me and Leigh was. And so like as soon as Zach told me about the film, I was like, oh man, it sounds like the rom-com that I wanted to write. Basically, I wanted to write a romantic comedy based on my relationship with Leigh. And so at what they've been chatting on the phone for like 2 weeks, and she's like fully invested and interested in him, thinking that he's this person that looks like somebody else. And he like jokingly is like, oh, I wish you could come out here for Christmas, spend Christmas with me. And so she decides to get on a plane and go out to see him for Christmas. And she rocks up on his doorstep and is invited into the family home by his dad, his stepmother, and his grandma. And he's not home at that time. So then when he does walk in, she's confronted with the fact that he is not who she thought he was, because he looks different. But then the person whose photos he was using lives in the same town. He's someone that Josh knows. So like,
so then he has to get his friend to play him.
So he didn't.
No. So
he doesn't get someone. He actually got off someone he knew. That's
no. But okay. So the other guy's, his character's name is Tad, and so what he still has no idea that any of this is going on. And so Josh's master plan is like, if you can pretend that you're my girlfriend just until the after Christmas, like stay here, and I will help you get together with Tad, the guy that because that's what she was attracted to, was the physical features. And over time, like as she goes on dates with him, she's like sacrificing all these parts of herself in order to be who he is attracted to, like pretending that she's into rock climbing.
Classic fake it till you make it.
Yeah, that sort of thing. So yeah, it's another one that I really like. If that had happened in real life with the catfishing stuff, there's no way that would have worked out the way that it does. But in a movie it works out, right? It's just that's how,
because it needs to. And
very
so
true.
In the film, like, references Love Actually, because that's Josh's favorite Christmas movie. And so they end up using a scene from Love Actually as inspiration for a scene in the end of this film, for her like realizing that she's in love with him or wants to be with him, after she comes to the conclusion, it's like, oh, that other dude, I was not actually, that was not right. But yeah, so
that has some Holiday in Handcuffs kind of overtones to it.
I'm not familiar with that
Holiday in Handcuffs, you say?
Holidays in Handcuffs. So this is one of the peak terrible Hallmark movies. It's like one of the like Lifetime Hallmark, like every Christmas, every winter, they always have like all these new like, he loves her, but she's not into it. Like that whole thing, right? So Holiday in Handcuffs is it's the best of the best. There it is. It is Melissa Joan Hart and
Mario Lopez.
Mario Lopez, thank you. And the whole thing is that Melissa Joan Hart's parents and her whole family, but specifically her parents, aren't all that supportive of her living an artistic lifestyle. They want her to settle down with a good man and have a family, and just like very traditional values. Traditional values. How about we all know the code word for that. Anyway, so after making it weird just now, I'm going to move on. So at the very beginning of the movie, Melissa Joan Hart is working in a cafe, and she's on the phone with her parents, and they're like, "Oh, we're so glad that you finally found a boyfriend. We never thought you'd find a boyfriend." And she's like, "Yep, he's even real this time." And so she's so pleased as punch to actually finally have a boyfriend to take home for Christmas and stick it to her parents and say, "Shut the fuck up, mom and dad." So just after she gets off the phone with her parents, her boyfriend walks into the restaurant and breaks up with her and says, "Yeah, I'm not going to meet your parents. I'm done. I met somebody else.
Good timing,
Peace
bro.
out." And so while all this is going down, Mario Lopez is in the restaurant eating dinner or breakfast or lunch, whatever time of day it was. He's like eating breakfast, and I can't remember the gambit. I can't remember how it happens, but she ends up handcuffing herself to him, and there's like this antique gun in the restaurant. So she takes the antique gun and she goes, "I'm not going to meet my parents without a boyfriend, and you're my boyfriend." So she kidnaps Mario Lopez at gunpoint, handcuffed, and she literally kidnaps him all the way up to the cabin right then and there on the spot. So they get up to the cabin and she unlocks the handcuffs, and there's this huge snowstorm. So he's
stuck.
Yeah, he's stuck. He can't leave. And so, like, whatever, she lets him off the handcuffs, and she's like, "All right, fine. Listen, I'll do whatever you want. I'll pay you $40,000, blah, 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 whatever. You have to pretend to be my boyfriend." And he's like, "Okay, fine." And so he plays the doting boyfriend and whatever. And then, wouldn't you know it, he falls in love with her.
Oh, wow.
Stockholm syndrome, anyone?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
And that triggers how I met your mother. Yeah.
This is reminding me of another recent rom-com. It's on Netflix now. I don't have access to it because I have the ads one, and you can only watch it if you don't, if you have a higher tier than me. Come on, where is it? What's it called?
I don't know.
No, I'm trying to look for it on my Netflix on my phone right now.
All right, so while you're looking for that, Sharon, top 5 rom-coms of all time in your opinion. Go.
On the spot. Okay. Clueless. That's a good one. I'm very partial to this one. 13 going on 30. I don't know whether you've.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, I like that one.
Notting Hill, classic. 4 Weddings and a Funeral. That's a pretty good one. And I'm trying to think. Oh, Wedding Singer. Boom. That's number 1.
Nice. Wedding Singer.
Most of them on TV next to me.
That's the definition of rom-com, isn't it?
It totally is, yeah. 50 First Dates was also really fun, too.
Oh,
Wedding Singer?
Hey, there it is.
Actually, speaking of 50 First Dates, this kind of reminds me of a story. Like, so when I was in intensive care at Canada Memorial, my part of my illness involved short-term memory loss, and back then I'd fall asleep every few minutes, and when I woke up, my memory would wipe. And I remember, like, my ex showed up one day, and and she was like, "Oh, so do you still remember who I am?" And I just remember joking with her. I was like, "Could you imagine if every day we had to redo everything just for me to remember?" And yeah, I mean, so that always stuck with me.
I always thought that was a really interesting concept. It was at the time that movie came out that I saw it. It hit me in the feels so much that I felt such longing pain for their relationship, because, like, how tragic is it that every morning she wakes up and has no idea who he is?
Yeah, it's really sad. Like, but one thing I appreciate is that he finds out different ways to get her attention. Like, every day is something different. So I thought, so that was quite cute. And like, and it just it's not something that just affects them. At some point, like he gets the whole community involved, not just her family, the whole community.
Yeah, that's true.
So that becomes that becomes an overarching thing. So
who was the brother in that? Was that Steve Zahn?
I believe so. Yeah, Steve, a very young Steve Zahn. Very young Steve Zahn. Yeah, like it's just one of those things that I just thought was just super cute because obviously it's not a your average kind of meet cute kind of thing, but it's so it is so absurd that it's one of those situations that will stick with you forever.
Yeah.
Wait, which one are you talking about right now?
50 First Dates.
Steve Zahn was in that? I just remember it being Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore.
Steve Zahn played the brother.
Okay. I remember the name of the film that the one that Mike was talking about was Anyone But You. Are you familiar with this one?
Oh, that just came out.
2 years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
With,
I think I watched
Glenn
it on the
Powell?
I watched it last year, I think, on one of my flights to or from Malaysia, I think is when I watched it. Yeah, it's it's another one where they hate each other, but they end up falling in love with each other. but they pretend to be together or something.
Right.
Yeah. So that's these rom-coms, man. These rom-coms. I think I ended up being okay with it, but like it's like, man, this is not how reality works.
Right.
Daniel made a good point. It wasn't Steve Zahn. It was Sean Astin.
That's who it was.
Okay. All right. Yeah, good point.
That's their time up here, but down here
it's our time. It's our time down here.
Sean Astin was also just in Love Hurts, which came out a week and a half ago.
Look at you with up to your current films. That's awesome. Okay.
Yeah. Alongside his Goonies co-star, Ke Huy Quan.
Good for him, man. He's going through his own reconnaissance, isn't he, right now? So good for him.
I'm very much looking forward to that movie. It looks really, really fun. Okay, do you have
was not as good as I was hoping it would be. But it was still enjoyable, just not as good as I was hoping it would be.
As long as it wasn't poopy.
It's not poopy.
Okay, I'm trying to get this webpage to load because it's a long list.
I will bring up Daniel's other comment while you're doing that. So he made a comment about Happy Gilmore.
What? Friends listen to Surf in the Dark. My endless love.
The part of that just it still gets me every single time I watch it is the Zamboni driver in the foreground, and you just see his silhouette. My
endless love. And he does both the male and the female parts.
Yeah. My love, endless love. Okay, so Good Housekeeping, the magazine, did an article. Oh, it keeps resetting. They did an article. I'm only going to go back to top 40. They did top 60, but once I go past the top 40, then the page reloads and it just gets weird. So, okay, top 40 rom-coms of all time, according to Good Housekeeping. So we're going to start at number 40 and work our way to number 1.
Let's see how many. Wait. Pause after everyone. I want to see if I have it on my pile of DVDs that I have next to me. And if I do, I will bring them up, okay?
Okay. So, according to Good Housekeeping,
number
40. Top 40. It's a top 60 list, but like I said, the webpage gets weird when I keep scrolling through. So, we're going to do top 40. First thumbs up is going to be, have you seen it? Thumbs up. Thumbs down. If you've seen half of it, you're going to do a thumb sideways. The second vote is, did you like it? Did you not like it? Was it okay? So it's still going to be thumbs up, thumbs down, thumb sideways.
Gotcha.
So first, have you seen it? And did you like it? All right, so here we go. Number 40, Love Actually.
Seen
Seen
it?
it? It's okay.
Did not like it. I deliberately rewatched it this just recently, last week,
You take that
with
back.
the intention of being able to speak to what exactly it is that I don't like about it. None of the characters are likable.
No, they're not.
None of them are likable.
What about the little kid?
There's
Okay, we're gonna keep going. We could spend time
Well-
talking about any one of these. We're zoning through.
we
Number
can talk about it
39,
later. We'll go through the list.
The Incredible Jessica James. I have not seen it.
I haven't even heard of it.
Same.
Nope.
It looks like that.
Wow.
Never even heard of it. All right.
Nope.
Number 38. Because we're not even going to do if we liked it or not. Number 38. Pretty in Pink. Seen it?
I can't remember if I've seen it.
Okay.
I can't remember if I've seen it.
We'll use a thumb sideways.
Yeah, if you have no recollection,
Not
just go.
sure.
Yeah.
That's an
And
80s
it's
one,
quality.
right? Is it 80s?
86. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I'm going to put a thumb sideways on that one as well. Great. 37 is 4 Weddings and a Funeral.
Wait.
I've not seen it.
That's what I pulled up earlier.
All
Have
right.
it.
Quality. Thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs sideways. Cool. 36, The Big Six. I've seen half of it.
Never heard of it.
Oh, it's Kumail Nanjiani.
I've seen the poster. I haven't seen that though.
Wait, have I seen it?
It's supposedly amazing, but it doesn't have the happiest of endings.
No, I'm just wondering if I might have actually watched it recently and I just don't remember.
Could be. I will say I liked what I saw. What did you say, Sharon?
And we all like happy endings, don't we?
Yeah. 35, My Best Friend's Wedding. I've not seen it the whole way through. Hey, there it is. Quality.
Like I said, I recently watched it over this past weekend. I like
Thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs sideways. Great. 34. What do you guys think it is?
I don't know. You tell me.
Wrong. It's called The Photograph.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it.
Cool. Moving on. Number 33, Funny Face with Audrey Hepburn. Never seen it.
I think I have.
What are
All
your
right,
thoughts?
give us a quality vote.
I don't remember it very well.
Fair.
Number 32, Bridget Jones's Diary.
Wait.
Never seen it.
Oh, you have to. It's so good.
I just watched the 4th Bridget Jones movie today because they keep making them.
I thought it was a TV show.
No,
No.
it's a movie.
It's a movie. So the first one's Bridget Jones's Diary. Then there's
Right.
Bridget Jones' Edge of Reason, Bridget Jones's Baby,
Right.
and then the one that just came out recently on Peacock streaming. If anyone's curious to watch it and didn't know that it was even a
Thanks
thing,
for the advertising.
because I just watched it today. Bridget Jones, Mad About the Boy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Quality check.
I love it.
Ooh. 31. I don't know if, well, yeah, I guess this would be a rom-com, wouldn't it? Groundhog's Day.
Yeah. One of the best
Quality
movies
check.
of all time.
Yep.
One of
I'm
the best
kind
movies.
of mid. It's been a while since I've seen it. So, I mean, if
Okay.
I watched it again, like, I don't remember that much about it apart from the repetitive aspect of
Okay,
it.
moving on. Number 31. It is Groundhog's Day.
Well
Great.
done.
And quality check. What do we think? Awesome. Yep, great. All right, moving on. Number 31, Groundhog's Day. Okay, let's move on. Number 30, Silver Linings Playbook.
Yeah.
Never seen it.
It's good.
I think I've seen it, but I don't remember. So I'm going to put that one.
Quality check, Sharon.
I liked it because the fact is there's no people aren't perfect in that film. Everyone's got their own individual flaws, whatever that it may be.
Sure.
And even though you have your beautiful people in it, you know, it doesn't glorify them. So I thought it was quite fun.
Cool. Number 29. Let's see if you can guess which one this is. She said, "What about
Breakfast at Tiffany's.
I've never seen it. No, sorry, no, I have seen it. I don't remember much about it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I don't remember it either, but I have definitely seen it.
I remember
It looked good.
Right. 28. Kissing Jessica Stein.
Never seen that.
2001. Yeah, I've never seen it, never heard of it. Cool. 27. 16 Candles.
Yeah, bro.
I think I've seen it, but it's been a while.
Classic.
It's so good. It's so good.
It's so cheesy. It's terrible, and I love it.
Well, I mean, that's like
Rating?
it's so cheesy.
Rating then?
It's
I don't really
so
remember it.
26. All the Boys I've Loved Before.
I don't think I've seen that.
Never heard of it.
I can't remember if I've seen it.
I definitely have not. Moving on. 25. 1999's The Best Man.
I don't think I've seen
Have
either.
not seen it.
Yeah, never
not
seen
seen
it.
it.
No.
Never seen it. 24. Roman Holiday.
No, never seen
I
that.
think I have. Is that another Audrey Hepburn?
That's
It is.
Gregory Peck as well, right?
Gregory Peck and Audrey Hepburn. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've
Yeah.
never seen that.
As they're
I think I watched it when I was going through my list of classic movies that I haven't seen and I need to watch.
Fair.
23. This is on Sherrod's list. Let's see if Sherrod can take a wild stab in the dark as to what movie this is.
Oh, I've got no idea.
You
Wedding
mentioned it in your
Singer.
top 5.
Wedding Singer?
Nope. Clueless.
So good.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
I didn't rewatch that one recently because I've seen it so many times that I can easily remember.
It's great.
Like-
It's
Number 22. Mr. McConaissance. Anyone care to guess?
10 things I had. No, not
No, he's not
the other one. That how to
How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
Yeah, that
There
one.
it is.
Oh.
Number 22.
I have seen it. Mid.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've seen it. And I would put it right there too.
I like the premise that it's not just like there's a reason that they have to stick together. So, I mean, it's something different. So why not?
Interesting. Number 21. Tom Hanks, Meg Ryan.
You've got mail.
Sleepless in Seattle?
Sleepless in Seattle. There it
Yeah,
is.
there we go.
Love
Yep,
it.
good.
I have
Good.
seen it, but it's
Don't remember?
I don't remember it.
Mm.
Number 20. Scott Pilgrim versus the
Yes.
World.
Yes,
I've
yes,
seen
yes,
it.
yes,
Love
yes,
it.
yes.
Not a fan.
So good. So
Fair.
good. I mean, like, I
Fair.
love the fact. I mean, the premise is he's literally fighting for someone he loves.
Yeah, that's true.
Can't beat that.
Yeah,
You literally can't beat that. So yeah,
true.
it's great.
Number 19, a film I've never heard of called Straight Up.
No, never heard of that.
Another one either.
Never heard of it. Mm-mm.
Number 18, classic 1989, Say Anything. I've
Oh.
seen it.
Is that the one where Cusack has the boombox over
The
his
boombox sure
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, I think I might have seen that, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
I have. It's fine. I don't.
Well, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. The only reason. I mean, that scene, that image I think will always. Well, it's been immortalized in time, but I can't remember I don't know what the film's about, just aside from that shot. You know?
He's the loser in high school who falls in love with a girl way out of his league, but she also falls in love with him. But because she comes from a ritzy family, they don't accept him, and so she kind of has to make a choice, him or her family.
There are so many rom-coms that have that kind of premise.
Romeo
something-
and Juliet.
That's
Yeah,
something I want to
but-
talk about after we go through the list, actually.
Number 17, Always Be My Maybe. Never seen it.
No, I've never heard of it.
That's the one I was telling about
It's
earlier.
the Randall Park one.
Randall Park
okay.
and
All right.
Ali Wong, the one I was just
Ali
talking
Wong.
about earlier. Yeah, obviously I love that one.
Hey, that's on Netflix.
Yes, it's on Netflix.
Okay.
Number
All right, cool.
16, Love and Basketball. I remember when this came out.
I've heard of it, but I have not seen it.
Was
I
it what
remember.
you might call a slam dunk, Michael?
I don't get it. Moving on, number 15. If I could turn back time. Moonstruck, 1987.
Never seen it.
I don't think I've seen it.
I don't remember anything about it.
Is that a Bruce Willis one?
I thought that was Moonstruck was a James Bond film for some reason.
No, Moonstruck. Yeah, I think that's Bruce Willis. Oh no, that's Nicolas Cage. No. That's
Nick Cage.
Oh yes, I do remember this movie. Yes, I've seen it, and I'm gonna put it there.
It's like a 3.5.
Fair enough.
Number 14, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless
Yes.
Mind.
Is that considered a rom-com?
Yeah, because of course it is. Yeah.
It's a dark rom-com then.
Tragic ending. Great
Yeah.
movie.
It's
Great
fantastic.
movie. Absolutely
Fantastic.
great movie.
Number 13, When Harry Met Sally.
Of course.
Yes.
I'll have what
She's having.
Number 12, She's the Man.
Yep.
Have not seen it.
I
You should. It's good
don't
fun.
think I've seen it either.
Yep. Amanda
Isn't it?
Bynes.
Yeah, Amanda Bynes.
Yeah.
Isn't it just the same as the Freddie Prinze Jr. movie?
She's all that I was talking
She's all
about.
that, isn't it?
No, I think that one she pretends to be a boy.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, the other one that's like She's All That is Whatever It Takes.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Number 11, another film I've never heard of called Red, White, and Royal Blue.
No, haven't heard of that
Correct me
either.
if I've heard of it. I haven't seen it. Is that the one with was it the two royals who have an illicit affair or something? Or
Looks like it.
yeah, I've seen the poster. I know what it's generally about, but I've never watched it myself.
Cool. Number 10. Oh,
10
Number 10. Now we're down to the top 10
of
you
all
guys,
time.
of all time.
How many of these do I have?
This, having not looked at the rest of the list,
Gotcha.
I can easily say this is the most stereotypical of all of the rom-coms. Starring Julia Roberts.
Oh, Pretty Woman?
Pretty Woman. Yeah.
Have seen
Seen
it.
it?
Yes. I'm mid.
I liked it.
It's fun.
Yeah, I liked it.
Number 9. Oh, this movie's so good. The Proposal.
Oh,
Okay.
so good.
I have this on Blu-ray.
Deadpool
This is
himself.
one of my all-time favorite ones, and not just because Ryan Reynolds gets
Ryan
naked in it.
Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds gets naked in it.
I forgot about that.
It's such a good
Number 8.
It's great.
Mamma Mia.
Yep.
Never seen it.
I love that one.
I have no interest in seeing it. I'll be honest.
Did you ever see the stage production version?
I have, yeah.
Thoughts?
Yeah, I also loved it. Yeah.
Okay.
Never seen it. Number 7, Love, Simon.
I have seen it, yes.
I've heard of it.
I thought it was good.
I adored that movie.
What's
I thought
Love
it was-
Simon about?
It's a gay rom-com.
Mhm.
Cool.
It's like a coming of age. It's what, 2018. Coming of age, but also kind of like this kid coming out of the closet for the first time and coming to terms with his sexuality and talking to the person that you're in love with, and it's just a really sweet movie. Number 6, my personal favorite rom-com of all time.
Oh, You've Got Mail.
There it is.
Right, you said it earlier. Duh.
Yeah,
Yes.
fair enough.
Yes.
So good.
Loved it.
Delightful. All right, top 5. Now, you guys, we're into the top 5. I'm not going to make you guess. I will have you make you guess the last 3, the top 3.
Sure.
See if you guys can figure out the top 3. Any hints, any thoughts, any clues, any ideas as to what the top 5?
I don't know that it's going to be any of the ones that Notting Hill will be in there.
Well, you did mention it earlier when I made you guess the Matthew McConaughey movie. 10 Things I Hate About You.
Oh, yeah, right. Yes, nice. Okay. Yes, I have that one.
Love that movie.
So
also,
good.
rewatched that one. It was one of the ones I rewatched over the weekend.
Great film.
Number 4, my gosh. I would not have put this movie into this category, but now that I see it, it makes perfect sense, and I am here for it. Princess Bride.
Yes,
My
I also have this one.
Favorite of all time?
favorite of all time.
There it is.
I mean, yeah,
yeah.
I have it.
I think like for me, it's also something that that really resonated with me at the time because the context of the film, for those who aren't sure, as well as the book, it's the idea of the grandpa telling this the sick grandson's story. And I remember when the first time I watched it, I was ill, and my mum put it on the VCR for me, and that's how. And so I had that emotional connection, and to this day, it's my favorite film.
Huh. It's just too perfect. It's like that perfect.
There's no
childhood.
Everything just hits.
I got to see it in the Castro Theater in San Francisco at SF Sketchfest back in 2015, and the star, Carrie, is it Elwes? Yeah. He was there for a Q&A afterwards, and then was also doing a book signing afterwards because he wrote a memoir called As You Wish. And so I got to see him sign the book.
He's such a sweet guy.
He actually did an interview talking about Andre the Giant, what it was like working with him. And there's 2 stories that stick to mind. There was one which is really sweet. They were filming outside, and it just started pouring rain, and they didn't have time for people to set up tents or umbrellas. So what Andre would do for Robin Wright Penn, he would literally just put his hand over her head because it was so big, it would just block all the water, and which is really sweet. And the second thing, and this is the funniest thing I've ever heard, he was just they were doing a take, and he just let out this amazing 30-second fart. It was so long, so loud. No one said a word until the director went, "Andre, you okay?" And he just went, "I am now, boss." Oh, so good. And you can tell whenever Elwes is telling the story, you can see the glisten in his eye. He's it's still so passionate and fresh with him. It's just I love it. I love it.
Mm-hmm. Moving on, number 3. I told you guys I was going to have you guess the last 3, but numbers 3 and 2 you're probably not going to get. So I will just go ahead and say Miss Congeniality in the number 3 spot.
Is that considered a rom-com as well? I thought it was just a straight-up comedy.
Yeah,
I'm surprised it's a great film.
Yes, I have it on DVD, but not next to me because I was not thinking of it as a rom-com.
Well, maybe you and the good people at Good Housekeeping should hang out more often. Number 2. I totally forgot that this movie existed. Definitely, maybe.
Yes, I think I've seen it. Okay. It's on Netflix right now if you want to watch it, because I just saw it when I was going through it. Yeah, I think I've seen it, but I don't remember it.
I have seen it. I remember absolutely nothing about it.
That's another Ryan Reynolds one, though, right?
Yeah, Deadpool. Yeah.
Okay, so there's only one that we have not mentioned so far on this list.
I said Notting Hill was the only one that I could think of that might be in there.
Strike 1, Dominica. It is not Notting Hill. You have 2 more strikes. Sharon, you have 3.
Oh man, let me think.
This movie has been referenced at some point in this live stream so far.
So will not be.
Is it Crazy Stupid Love?
No.
That's not been mentioned. I was going to say Some Like It Hot, but that has not been mentioned on the stream.
It has not been, no.
It's not that one. So I'm not actually guessing.
It has been mentioned, okay.
So Dominica has 1 strike, Sherrod has 1 strike. You both have 2 more left.
I'm trying to remember what we talked about.
Keeping the Faith? I wouldn't think that it would be number one.
No. You have 1 strike. You have 1 guess left, Dominica. Sherrod, you have 2.
Is it? Oh, we didn't talk about this. I don't know. Dominica, do you have any ideas?
50 First Dates?
No.
No.
You have no more guesses. Sherrod, you have 2 guesses.
Oh boy. Is it Legally Blonde?
Nope.
Nope.
That wasn't mentioned on the
I don't know. I can't remember. Something's Gotta Give?
Think Something's Gotta Give? No. It is not. It is Crazy Rich Asians.
Oh, wow. I was not expecting that to be number one.
You started with...
I have seen it, and yes, I did like it.
Do you? I think that it was the reason why it stood out so much is because of the cultural relevance. Because for so many years we've only seen predominantly white white characters and what have you, and even though that there are like black-led comedy films, there are a few of them. There's very few which have the majority Asian cast. So yeah, it was a huge thing.
That was the first like mainly all Asian cast film in like 15 years or something. I think, right? It had been a long time since
it was a big deal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I remember like hearing about it during the pre-production stage. People were worried about, can we raise enough money to do this? And look how it turned out. So I remember I was talking to a friend of mine a while back. Sorry to go on a tangent, but I remember people were saying, Black Panther, they didn't think it would be a success naturally. But if you think about it, think about your demographics. Think of a big demographic that hasn't been represented so much. It's essentially a gold mine just waiting to be unearthed. So yeah, of course.
And they did a really good job with it because, that's the thing is like they worry when they're going to do something new like that. If it flops, then it prevents Hollywood from taking a chance on a film with the same kind of representation again for a while. I remember when like Fresh Off the Boat came out, the TV series sitcom Fresh Off the Boat, and that was another one. They said that they had not had a sitcom about an Asian family since Margaret Cho did something in the 1980s. And that one came out in, I think it was like 2015. Whoa. Fresh Off the Boat. So it was a very long time, right? So yeah. Having lived in Malaysia for 5.5 years, I seem to be more abreast of the Asian cultural phenomenon stuff that happens.
It's funny because you said breast.
Breast, yeah.
Maybe that was intentional.
What is SEO?
No, I have connections with Crazy Rich Asians as well. I remember, and something that I kind of wrote about in my memoir, because when that film came out, I ended up posting about my kind of reactions to it on Facebook because it made me think more about the cultural significance of my relationship with Leigh. At that, like when it came out, it was a time when he and I had not been communicating for a few years at that point, and but like seeing the the main female character, I can't remember the characters' names, but the main female character, she's Asian American, whereas the main character, he's Singaporean. And so his entire family, they're the crazy rich Asians, and they're not very, especially his mom is not accepting of this Asian American into the family because she doesn't have the same cultural background. And so seeing that was one of the things. I was like, oh, like it just like started clicking in my head more about the significance of Leigh's perspective of that, interracial dynamic between him and me. And it was like, oh man, is this what, his family was not in the crazy rich standards or anything like that, but still the that expectation, that cultural expectation of what you should be marrying into. I was like, oh. So yeah, there was a lot of kind of reflection, but also like it was set in Singapore, which I'd been to, and when they were speaking Malay, I'm like, haha, I know what they're ordering. So it's cool for me to hear and be able to understand like what is being said.
I mean, yeah. I mean, if you think about it, I think that's why it became such a huge hit. Is because I know it's a very touchy subject about representation on television and media in general. But I mean, obviously, let's say Star Wars, we all imagine ourselves as like these intergalactic pilots, and we save the day and everything. Sure, but then when you see someone on TV that represents you, which maybe you've never seen before, it's life changing.
Yeah. This is why my memoir starts out me talking about movie references and Leigh not being able to see himself as the main character because he hasn't seen himself as like represented in these big Hollywood films. Like that's how I start my memoir.
As a straight white man in America, I have always say what now?
How dare you?
How dare! Hey, that was my choice. I chose
violence.
I chose man. Anyway, I have always seen myself represented in film and TV. How could you not? But the one time that I can even relate to that was when I saw Mormonism being represented in like major media, because at the time growing up, like in the 80s and in the 90s, Mormonism was still like the internet didn't exist yet, at least not at the level that it was in the 2000s. But everyone had such weird, backward, crazy thoughts and opinions as to what the Mormon religion was. And having grown up in it, I knew like all that was bullshit. It's just another religion. And so the first time there was an LDS Latter-day Saint, an LDS filmmaker who went off and made a movie where Mormonism was the subject matter. It was a terrible movie. But at the time, in the late 90s, mid to late 90s, we all gravitated to this and went, oh my goodness. Finally, someone is like taking a chance on our strange culture and trying to tell our story. And it meant the world to us.
I'll bet.
It was such a huge, because again, like being in a small, tight-knit community, seeing that represented on the big screen, it was unreal. Unreal. And so that's the only comparison that I have to like minorities or very sexual orientations being represented on, not just on the big screen, but in any type of media. And it's really a joyful delight to have yourself up there, but also to see someone else's joy being represented. It's just delightful.
Yeah, I've definitely felt like that with the lack of bisexual representation in things. I think it was Rough Night with Kate McKinnon and a bunch of other people, but Scarlett Johansson I think was in it as well. And they had a bisexual character in there that I thought was pretty well represented in terms of how some of the assumptions that were made about bisexual people, and then she was like the opposite of what those assumptions were. Like there was this couple who wanted to have a threesome with her, like assuming because she's bisexual that she would be up for it and that sort of thing. I think that was the film. And yeah, and it was like, oh, it's great that they're showing her as, you know, she's not actually into that and things. So
I noticed that there's a ton of comments left by
yes,
Daniel that we need to get caught up on.
well, he left them when you were reading out all of the film things. So first of all, shall we go backwards? He left a
Yeah.
comment on my abreast. Abreast? Where? Oh, abreast. Yes. Exactly. Is that what you guys thought I was saying?
No. I knew what you were
No, I
saying,
know,
but also
I know.
like
We're children. So, yeah.
we're 12.
Did I pull up this one before? I can't remember. Short rounds come a long way since the Temple of Doom.
He has.
Duff Jones.
Mhm. Thanks to Everything Everywhere All at Once.
I love the story of it was Hugh Kwan's brother who auditioned for the role of Short Round, but then I don't remember what happened. But there was something in the reading process, because I think Hugh Kwan was reading opposite his brother, and the casting director, I don't remember her name, she just thought that Hugh Kwan had more charisma than his brother did, so
the brother must be pissed.
I know. I know.
This is probably too late to bring this one up, but on this edition of Does Danica, that's not my name. Does Dominica? Does Dominica have it? Maybe it's Danica. Maybe that's a thing.
It's a name. I know people with the name Danica.
No, I know it is. 16 Candles better than Pretty in Pink. So that's what was on the list. 16 Candles was rated higher than Pretty in Pink.
I do think that I like Pretty in Pink better. I think I do.
I think because
wait, no. Never mind. Sorry, I'm getting it backwards. No. 16 Candles. Yep, you're right. Don't worry about it.
16 Candles is the one with Long Duck Dong, and he gets drunk going, "Oh, sexy girlfriend."
Oh, sexy girlfriend.
So that makes me think of, did anyone watch the SNL 50 special last night?
Bits of it. I saw the one with Sandler singing the song.
Yeah, that was surprisingly touching. So Tom Hanks steps out after a commercial break, and he talks about like all the people that from Saturday Night Live who we've lost over the years. And so he steps out to deliver an in memoriam. But what you realize is that as he's delivering the monologue, he's not talking about people who have died. He's talking about characters who have been retired because those characterizations have not aged very well. It was one of the most brilliant in memoriam ways to go about doing it. It was so good. And so all of it was just, white people doing blackface. It obviously does not age well. Making like fat shaming jokes and like all this stuff, and like really bad characterizations and accents and offensive character, all that stuff. And it was just so. Anyway, the Daniel, your reference to Long Duck Dong, it really made me think of that and going, oh man, that was a rough characterization.
It's been a long time since I've seen the film, so I don't remember the details. But then
It does
This
not
is
live up well.
in response to the say anything, holds up boombox like
Yeah,
John
boy.
Cusack. Yeah, that scene is. I don't think I've seen the movie, but that scene
It
is
is.
referenced
It's iconic.
everywhere. Like that's the classic
Yeah.
of going to win the girl kind of scene that gets used.
I know it's
Um,
heresy, but I don't think that that's the best movie. A lot of people just like swear by it. They're it's such a great movie, whatever. But didn't do
Each their
anything
own.
for me.
yes, Sharad, he's holding the boombox and it's playing In Your Eyes by
Eyes,
Peter
okay.
Gabriel.
I was wondering about that. Okay, cheers.
This is probably in response to the Clueless references. Some people overshare. Mike just overshared.
No, that was to me going, if I could turn back
Oh, that's Cher.
time.
Okay. Yeah.
Nice.
I was thinking Cher because Cher is the character in Clueless.
Ah,
Right? That's Alicia Silverstone's character's name.
interesting.
Gotcha.
Paul Rudd
this
is also in that.
Who?
Yeah.
Paul Rudd.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And he has not aged since.
Nope.
You missed the letter, Daniel.
Watch out for the
RUS is the rodent of unusual size from Princess Bride when he's in the forest. Yep.
Mm.
Terrifying as hell.
ROUS.
ROUSs. Correct.
I don't think they exist anyway.
And in response to me reading Danica, I meant to type Dominica and brain farted. I deleted it. Bad comment for not deleting Go Stand in the Corner comment.
We forgive you. Cheers for that.
Well, okay, so it is possible that he deleted it on YouTube, but once it's in Restream, it stays in Restream. It doesn't get deleted. I noticed this remember the last time that Daniel joined and he deleted a whole bunch of comments because of my dad getting offended. By the way, Daniel, I don't know if you saw this, but my dad did apologize to you for getting offended for a reason that he didn't need to get offended for.
It was long after the stream ended, though, right?
Yes, after the stream, because he watched the stream afterwards and then left a comment on the video, and I'm like, Daniel's probably not going to see it, so that's why I just wanted to bring that up. But that's how I know that you can delete a comment in the chat on YouTube, but it does not get deleted in Restream.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I was going to bring up I think we touched on briefly the trope of like the dud male character falling for like a woman who's out of his league and then her falling in love with him as well. So many examples of it. Notting Hill is a classic example because she's like a super famous movie star and he's just the owner of a travel bookshop. But just, well, I mean, compared to
No.
And so there's that. But I was thinking, I want to bring up this quote from Love Hard, which I mentioned earlier, the one with Jimmy O Yang. He's like, the reason that he catfished in that story was because he, was not getting any hits or like matches on the online dating platform that they were using. So he's like, I'm not, anything that women go for. So he used the pictures of this guy that he knew who was more, physically attractive.
Yeah.
Eventually attractive. And there's this great scene in the film where, he ends up showing Natalie the pictures he was using on the app before, and they're all like terrible. Like he's holding an axe and he's holding some rope and like these things that make him seem like an axe murderer, kind of serial killer kind of person, right? And she goes on to explain that he just needs to show more of himself. So I wrote down the exact like quote exchange because I'm just like, this is classic. So she's like, "You're a great guy, Josh." And he's like, "Well, I don't know how to show that in a photo." And she responds, "For starters, you have to believe that it's true." And I was like, oh, man, that's exactly how I felt about Leigh as well, right? He's uh, like, I've talked about how he put me up on a pedestal and described me as perfect before, right? And he didn't see himself as, the way that I saw him, as this great person. And so I kind of felt like, oh, man, I can connect with that. Yeah, so that was the whole thing. And yeah, so it's so many stories like that. And I'm just like, I wonder if that's one of the reasons I go for those tragic male types. Because I like those. That's what I'm attracted to in the movies. I like those stories of like, he's the underdog and she's like out of his league, but like those are the ones that generally tend to be more sweet, because they're not they're more conventionally attractive, the ones that everyone goes for. So guys, if you are like that and you think that you're not good enough, do what Natalie said in Love Hard. First, you have to believe that it's true, that you are worth something, because that's when you don't, that's when you start self-sabotaging and doing things and behaving in a way that helps the other person see your perspective and see that you're not actually, maybe not actually as worth as they thought in the first place.
Very true.
If I could turn back time. So while you were talking or describing that film, you had mentioned something that jogged another movie into my brain that was like, oh, we haven't mentioned this, nor is it considered to be. Say what?
It wasn't on the list you just mentioned?
Well, I mean, yeah, it's not on the list, but it's also not anything that we have mentioned yet tonight. But it's also not considered to be a classic or typical rom-com, which is So I Married an Axe Murderer.
Yeah, I was just that was on my list of San Francisco movies that I was going through earlier when I was trying to remember what Playing It Cool was called, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's a rom-com too.
I adore that movie.
Yeah, man.
That is the all-time favorite movie of one of my other exes, who the pseudonym I used for him in my memoir is Andrew, because that's the name he asked me to use for him in something else that I wrote because it was the name of one of his cats. Yeah, so when he came to visit, but we were not in a relationship at the time, he came to visit me in San Francisco back in 2021 once everyone was vaccinated. And I drove him around San Francisco, taking him to different locations where So I Married an Axe Murderer was filmed. Yeah, because it was his favorite film.
So fun.
That's so much fun.
I do love that movie so much.
It's great, isn't it? Like I always forget that prior to Austin Powers and
yeah,
so good.
Mm-hmm. Another movie that doesn't get the love or acclaim that it deserves is Joe versus the Volcano.
I haven't seen that.
I can't remember if I've seen it. I've heard of it, but I can't remember if I've seen it.
What is Joe?
Is that another 80s one?
Yeah, it's the first movie that Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan did together.
They've done so many things together.
I know. I love this movie so much. It's kind of goofy, but the whole story is that Tom Hanks plays this guy named Joe, and he has just a really shitty dead-end job, and he hates his job, but whatever. It's got to do it, work to make ends meet, right? So he goes to the doctor this one day, and he comes to find out that he has this very strange, bizarre disease that he's going to be gonna die from in like 3 weeks. And this is just like brand new information. He's devastated, obviously, and he's like, I've never done anything with my life. I don't know what to do. And so the next day, or maybe even that night, he gets a knock on the door from the guy who owns the company that he works for, and he says, "Hey, I heard about your predicament. Uh, we share the same doctor, and I want to offer you a deal. There is an island in the middle of the Pacific, and they have this one particular resource on their island that is indigenous to their island, and the people, the indigenous people, won't let me harvest it unless we agree to make a human sacrifice to their volcano god, because they believe that, like, you know, their volcano god controls the island and blah blah blah, whatever. And so the only way that we can get this resource is if someone volunteers to jump in the volcano."
Sure.
Which of course nobody wants to do. So if you agree to jump in the volcano, I will give you all the money you want. Like, you can have my corporate credit card. You have the best last week of your life. You do anything you want. You spend as much money as you want, as long as it culminates in you jumping in that volcano. You can do anything you want. And so Tom Hanks is like, okay, I'll do it. Cool. And he ends up meeting Meg Ryan. Meg Ryan in the film plays twin sisters.
Wow.
It's so goofy.
Why have
And
one
it's
when
so
you could have
cheesy.
two?
And it's just a wonderful journey of him just spending money and traveling to the island. It's a hoot. You got to watch it. It's really fun.
What's it called again?
Joe versus the volcano.
Quite good. I wonder, has Daniel seen it?
Ooh, good question. While we wait for him to answer, I'll bring up some more comments. So, Daniel said, "If you get catfished by an actual catfish, does it count, or does it cancel itself out like a double negative?" What do you guys think?
Yes. I don't expand on any.
I think it does. Like, trying to take this question as seriously as it can be taken, I think the double negative 100% would cancel itself out, because that would be the irony,
Yeah.
wouldn't it? And
Mhm.
so just being, it's like that, oh, I lost, but with a wink, you know?
Mhm.
Yada-da-da-da-da.
My dad is watching as well.
Hey,
So,
Fred.
my dad says, mine are weird.
Ooh.
The Addams Family, The Munsters, Tarzan Finds a Mate. There's one with Suzanne Day playing a vampire falling in love with a cop. My tastes are a bit weird.
A large variety. That's what we like to see.
Which Munsters movie? Because didn't they? I feel like they made 2 made-for-TV movies. One of which was like a Christmas special. Or are you just referring to the TV show?
I'll be back in 2 seconds, guys.
Have
Okay.
fun.
I will bring up Daniel's next comment. Head pants. Now.
You look at the size of the head on that boy. It's got its own weather patterns.
Wait, what's that a reference to? I can't remember.
Oh, that's how So I Married an Axe Murderer.
Yes.
The Scottish father is like he's got like an orange on top of a toothpick.
I
In
wonder.
fact, here's a fun little reference. In that movie, in that same scene, head pence now. The father, also played by Mike Myers, he is a conspiracy theorist, and he in that movie he drops this offhanded comment. It was kind of throwaway line about this secret society called the Pentaveret. and like he just kind of like threw this theory out there that the Pentaveret is real, whatever. And so of course, like the son version of Mike Myers says, okay, that's not a real thing, and you know the movie moves past it very quickly. Many years later, Mike Myers develops with Netflix a television show called The Pentaveret. And it's just about this secret society. And it's not the best Mike Myers project, but it's classic Mike Myers. It's really funny. I think it's like 6 episodes. It's really fun. I highly recommend it.
I'm writing it down.
Has nothing to do with romcoms.
Nope, but I'm still gonna write it down just so I remember to watch it later. All right. I'm actually wondering if so I mentioned that So I Married an Axe Murderer was my ex Andrew's all-time favorite movie. He reached out to me this past week because he wants to reconnect his friends, but he told me that he's been like reading my blog and watching my stand-up clips, I guess on Instagram. And I don't know, he didn't say anything about the live streams, but I'm curious to know if he has been watching any of them as well, and if he'll watch this to hear that I've actually talked about him.
Maybe. This is Andrew though, so
yeah, we'll see. Another comment from Daniel. I opened up AOL once and it said, "You've got Meg Ryan." Instead of "You've got Mel," you've got Meg Ryan.
You've got Meg Ryan. You know, I'll keep those comments to myself. That's fine. I'll keep it to myself. I'll tell you off camera, but
okay, no, that's fair. Okay, so Daniel has seen Joe versus the Volcano. Yes. He's an old fart and watched it with his cousin after it came out on VHS. Old fart? How much of an old fart? Because I got the impression that you were a similar age as us. Just
yeah, I think we're all in the same boat here.
Like, what is considered old fart these days? Is somebody in their 40s an old fart?
I'm going to say yeah.
I mean, when you're in your 40s, you're in your prime, essentially, aren't you?
We're midlife. This is the age of the midlife crisis, right? My live streaming is a midlife crisis live stream.
As a non sequitur, my sister-in-law texted Kim and I the other day, and she said that her 5-year-old daughter crawled into her lap recently and said, "I love you, Mom, and I love cuddling with you because you're not old and your skin isn't wrinkly. And when it does get old and wrinkly, I probably am not going to want to cuddle with you anymore because that's gross." Something along those lines.
This was the interesting thing for me about watching the new Bridget Jones movie today, is seeing Hugh Grant is so like old in the film, like so many wrinkles, gray hair, like all of this stuff. Renee Zellweger, also like old, older. She's older than me, so some wrinkles, but not as bad as Hugh Grant's wrinkles. But one of the things I liked about this one is I don't think that I've seen any other rom-com that is about a single mother. She's a single mother in the film, has 2 kids, and so she has to go through this. Another cool thing that was explored, they explored ghosting in it. I don't think I've seen ghosting explored in the way that it was in this film. Because she ends up getting together with a 29-year-old, and this 29-year-old thinks that she's 35, and she's like, "Sure, I'm 35." She's like, I don't know, late 40s, early 50s or something.
I mean, go on, girl. Good for you.
She went for it. Not my, like, I could not. There's no way. I like anyone in their 20s to me is like, you're a baby. Like, I couldn't. But yeah, so it was interesting as well. So the 29-year-old ends up ghosting it. Sorry, spoilers. And but it was a really good representation of the impact on the ghostie. What happens to that person when you get ghosted. Like you start sending all these messages that don't get responded to.
Yeah.
And the anxiety of what that's like. I was like, it was nice to see that captured so well on film and not in a because it's so easy to make that boring. But I think that's one of the things I really like about Bridget Jones's character is like she's so awkward and embarrassing, and I can relate to so much of what that character is. And yeah, so that I guess that's why I've connected with her films. In the third Bridget Jones film, they explore polyamory without calling it polyamory. And when I watched it in the movie theater, I was still married and polyamorous at the time. So I was like, oh, representation of my thing, in me, this is a whole franchise, right? Like that people are familiar with. So it's just amazing to kind of see that representation. So yeah, you might not be into the Bridget Jones films, but if you're curious to explore that kind of representation that's not ordinarily seen in
you know what?
movies.
One of these days, I wouldn't put it past me to just sit down and just, you know what? Let's crank these out. There's 4 movies.
Polyamory or the films?
The films.
No, polyamory. But I mean, just the other day, I was looking for something to watch, and I didn't know what I was in the mood for, and so sometimes you end up just putting something on, and I put on Deal or No Deal Island. And my goodness, I got hooked, and I had to know how it ended.
Wow.
And so that's the thing. Like sometimes you don't know what you're in the mood for until it finds you, and then you're just like, all right, well, I gotta ride this wave.
Well, I mean, to be fair, like sometimes that's usually what happens, and you randomly have something on, or you abstractly put something on, and it turns out to be amazing.
Yeah.
I think for me, with Bridget Jones, like I said, I could really relate to that character. You don't see a lot of those awkward women, awkward girl characters in films as things working out for her. Like that's why I connected with She's All That, like I said earlier. And Whatever It Takes was the other one that's basically She's All That but with different people. And as that dorky girl, like the geeky one that's super awkward, like all of that stuff, it's nice to be able to see people, those characters, things working out for them, because it was one of those things that was able to give me some kind of hope that I have maybe something. So yeah,
I get you.
Couple more comments in the chat here. My dad says, just the over-the-top love for someone odd. Any Munsters? Same for Morticia and Gomez. It's
they
about
had a
finding
great relationship.
Something to love in the unlovable. Yeah, it's the same with the characters that I was just talking about. Like with it's nice to see that I don't have to be that idealized beauty that is represented in films. Do you remember? There's another rom-com that has not been mentioned. Do you remember? And I don't think they would be able to make this film nowadays. But Shallow Hal with Jack Black.
I love that film. So good.
Yep.
And yes, you can't make that anymore. You can't.
And was it Gwyneth Paltrow was the other one?
I don't know. I feel like you could in a very different context. Like what is without fat shaming anyone, what is something else that someone could be really shallow about?
Yeah, I guess.
For example, everyone's just hair or or what else?
As problematic as that movie aged, I do think the message of it still holds up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, of course it is.
Yeah. And so, this is the interesting thing for me. I feel like there's a lot more movies made about, the dorky or unattractive guy getting the, more attractive woman, rather than the reverse, where, the woman is a bit, more unconventional. And that being held up to good standards, or
I don't know. Well, I mean, like that one's tricky because I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. It's the women that makes the decision to to get with the guy, isn't it? The guy doesn't go, "I'll pick you," and then so and so forth. So I mean, maybe that's on that. I don't know, because the closest one I could think of, aside from She Is All That, was I think New Girl might be sort of one, even though she's they're beautiful people, but they're very eccentric. So maybe they might not be for most people, but I don't know. Maybe it's just that, because women do decide, who they sleep
end
with,
up with.
partners will be. So
Yeah, I mean, it still has to be a mutual kind of thing, because guys can reject the unattractive women, or that happens all the time. Like,
put it this way, it's like it's women will reject guys for wanting to sleep with them, but then guys will reject girls for and not wanting to have a relationship. So there's two different kind of. Do you see what I mean?
Guys will reject girls for not wanting a relationship?
No. For example, if they don't want, if the guy doesn't want a relationship, they'll say no. But girls will reject guys for if the guy just wants a one night stand.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? So that sort of
yeah, that's true. Welcome back, Mike.
Hello.
I'm gonna have to peace out in about 15 minutes.
That's cool.
No worries. Okay, I'll bring up a couple more of these comments. So another one from Daniel here. Casper made a dating profile. It said, "Friendly Spectre here, looking for love. If I ghost you, don't be offended."
Loving these zingers, Daniel. Really good.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
What did Frank have to say?
My dad says, single mom one has Jack Nicholson. A rich neurotic falls in love with his waitress. It also has a third wheel guy, his neighbor, who is a guy, gets pulled into mix, and Daniel labeled it as good as it gets.
I was about to say as good as it gets. Yeah,
that's the one.
Yeah.
I adored that movie when it came out.
It's so good.
I still think there's still things about that movie that I'm constantly reminded of, like what was Jack Nicholson's character's name in the film?
I don't remember.
Let me see. He's called Melville.
Melvin, that's it.
Melvin,
wait.
Helen Hunt's called Carol. Yeah.
Like that whole sequence, I always think about like the sequence where he and Helen Hunt go for soft-shelled crabs in Baltimore, Maryland, and he's all put out by the fact that he had to go across the street to buy a dinner jacket, but they let Ewan in a house dress. And for the longest time, I thought house dress was an offensive term because of his delivery. And it wasn't until years later that I realized, he didn't. Yeah, he said something offensively, but it wasn't the thing that he said that was offensive.
It was how he said it.
What it meant that was offensive. Yeah. So it was, and then the other thing that I'm always reminded with, or I always think about, is because I'm not the strongest of spellers, and smartphones have only made that worse for me. So spelling the word conscience is so fucking difficult. Like I can't.
Just think it. Conscience.
That's
and that's what they do in the movie.
Yeah.
But there's also conscious and conscience. Conscience is conscience, but conscious is a very different spelling. And for the longest time, I thought they were the same words. But yeah, so Helen Hunt, she is trying to spell conscience. Conscience? Really? That can't be the... Anyway, great movie. Great movie. Shut up, kids!
Can I bring up, like, I know we've kind of
Also,
already...
Jack Nicholson has his glasses up like this, and he just goes...
I had...
didn't even know he was being filmed. So
I had another like note that I wrote about Love Hard that I kind of wanted to bring up, another like dialogue exchange. And so this is the exchange. Like Natalie was getting upset of at Josh because of the whole catfishing thing, and because Josh was calling her out for like changing her whole personality to get with Tad, and Josh is
Sorry,
like,
this is the Jimmy O Yang.
yes, the
movie,
Jimmy
right?
O Yang
Okay.
movie, yeah.
Okay.
And so Josh is like, I hid behind a photo, and Natalie said, you lied about your identity. And Josh said, but it was still me. Every conversation we had, every laugh we shared, it was me. And you liked me so much that you flew across the country to surprise me for Christmas. And I connected with that because like that's exactly how I felt with my chatting on Leigh's live stream. It was like, but it was still me. I was just using a different name. I was like, my God, I'm just like, my life, some of my decisions is like I'm living out a rom-com. I'm not like intentionally doing it, but like when I rewatch these films, I was like, was I like subconsciously influenced by these things that I've seen in the past?
maybe that's more true than you actually think.
Yeah, it's so weird that like this, because it's been what, like 3 years since I saw that film, and I was doing that. So
I just love, like, I don't know, the way our brains work and just the things that we're connected to. It's also different. We all connect to different things.
Well, I mean, if you break it down, monkey see, monkey do. So
Monkey
that's true. Yeah, we
all over
get
you.
influenced by the things. I feel like my one thing that I haven't done though is that I end up not going as far as like telling, like I never went as far as telling Leigh that I was in love with him when we got back together, and or you know, when I tried to when I flew back to Malaysia last year to try and reconnect as friends for the second time. I never did the thing of like in Notting Hill where Julia Roberts goes up to Hugh Grant and says, I'm just a girl standing in front of a boy asking him to love her. Like I never went that far and like put myself that far out there to express my full feelings.
I mean, it's pretty far to put anyone out there.
I don't think that like things would have turned out differently if I had done that. But you know, that is kind of one of my bigger regrets, is not going as far as I could have to express what my feelings were. I want to share a couple of recommendations of films that I don't think you guys have seen, for of like up there for romantic comedies for me. I think I talked on one of our other streams before that one of my all-time favorites is Down with Love.
That looks really fun and charming, but
Renee Zellweger and Ewan McGregor. And the premise is, you know, she writes this book, and it's like it's set in the 50s, I think. So she writes this book and basically trying to get women to act like men and just, you know, sleep around and not care about relationships, kind of thing, because that's the kind of personality that Ewan McGregor's character has. And so it's about her trying to get him in a way. And I don't want to give too much away because there are some interesting plot twists in it. But highly recommend it. It's one of my all-time favorite romantic comedies because it's such a different kind of rom-com than all of your other typical ones. Another one is Dating the Enemy, which is an Australian rom-com, which is why you would never heard of it. Sorry, yes, Guy Pearce, who you would have heard of, and Claudia Carvin, who is my all-time favorite Australian actor, who's not known outside of the country. And this is not like a widely distributed film. Like I remember when I saw it, it was released only in a video store called Video Easy. So it was exclusive to that video store that you could rent it from. I don't think it was released in theaters. Or at least I don't remember anything about that happening. And it's a body swap film. So like these two characters, they're dating and then they break up. And then one or both of, no, I think one, so Claudia Carvin's character was like, I wish that that you could be me so you could like understand what it's like for me. And then I wish I could be you so I could show you how stupid and ridiculous you are. And then the wish comes true and they switch bodies overnight. And then they have to like go out into the world as each other and get to kind of learn how difficult each other's lives are. And it's really...
that must have been a crazy day. I guess you could call it a Freaky Friday.
Yeah, it's obviously there are films like that that exist, but in this one, they end up falling in love with each other because of getting to really experience the other one's life and what it's like for them and their challenges. And it's one of the things like they kind of have to come back together in order to return to their own bodies, right? So love that film.
Lessons need to be learned, Dominica.
No, it's a great way to learn the other perspective. If only that was something that could happen. But
you're asking too much now.
I love this film so much that so in university, one of my classes was Australian cinema. I took an Australian cinema class, and I ended up writing an essay about the film. And my professor, my teacher in that class, was like, I really did not think that there was anything good about this film, but you convinced me that there is actually merit to explore. So I'm like, yes. So that's another one. And then the other Australian one that I mentioned before, Paperback Hero with Hugh Jackman.
Baby Wolverine.
And also Claudia Carvin's in it as well. So you can see on the back, she's in there.
Paperback
and
Hero.
That one is about so Hugh Jackman is a trucker, that's his job, but he likes to write romance and has written this romance novel that is selected to be published, but he used her name to submit it to a publisher under because he didn't want to he didn't want anyone to know that this manly guy was writing a romance novel, right? And so she has to pretend like on his behalf that yes, it was her story, and yeah, it's a great
and comedy ensues.
it's so fun and literally sweet. So I do recommend checking that out if you can find it or get a hold of it. I had to buy it. Genuinely had to buy it on Blu-ray in order to be able to watch it again, and it was not cheap. But it's a great film.
So this is pre-Wolverine?
Yeah, pre-Wolverine.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I have a feeling that I saw it before watching the X-Men. So I think it was the first thing that I saw Hugh Jackman in. So those are my recommendations for anyone watching as well. And yeah.
What was the Hugh Jackman romance film when he goes?
Kate and Leopold.
Yeah, Kate and Leopold.
That was a good one.
Yeah, I have.
You didn't even describe it, and I already knew what it was.
The one where he goes, yeah, Kate and Leopold. Yeah.
That one.
There it is.
Yeah, another Meg Ryan. Meg Ryan has done so many romantic comedies. It's like her genre, right?
She's good at it.
Yeah.
I would have watched that one as well if I had enough time to watch that one before the stream, because it's been a while since I've watched that one as well. But yeah,
ironically, Liev Schreiber is in that film.
He is,
and he plays Sabretooth in X-Men Wolverine. So
that's right, he does. Oh my god!
I'm sorry, Sherrod. What movie? Because I've never heard of that movie, and I'm pretty sure it doesn't exist.
Yeah, I mean, in that film, someone gets shot in the head with a bullet and removes his memory, so I'm guessing it happened to all of us too. So we're all good. We're all good.
So bad. So bad. I hate it so much.
Yeah.
Any others?
How many Blu-rays and DVDs do you have sitting next to you right now?
I have a few more. Yeah.
Can you go through the entire collection that you
the ones
have
that I haven't brought up yet, or
no,
even the
all
ones that
of
I have?
them. Can we just do a recap on every single one?
Yes.
I'm curious to see what you have next to you, but I'm also taking notes because Down with Love and Keeping the Faith are the two that I want to see.
Yeah,
but I'm sure there were others.
Sure,
in
no,
there
absolutely. I think I still have some on my shelf. Like, I didn't realize that Miss Congeniality was a rom-com. So, but that's downstairs on my shelf. I think America's Sweethearts is also a romantic comedy.
Yeah,
which I do not have with me right now, but is on my shelf downstairs. Okay, so I will not bring up the 4 that I just brought up. The 3 recommendations plus Kate and Leopold.
Zeta-Jones.
Mm-hmm. And another Julia Roberts film. She's done a lot. 10 Things I Heard About You, which we brought up recently. So this is another one I just rewatched, and it was cool to see Australian music in it. There's a Spider-Bait song in it. And
10 Things I Hate About You has got both the Joker and Robin in that film. So there you go.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
that's a nice little
Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Heath Ledger.
Heath Ledger, yeah.
I want to see Joseph Gordon-Levitt play the Joker. That would be interesting.
And he's a good actor, bro. He's a really good actor. So yeah.
All right, what else we got? Next.
I know I'm looking at Mike's comments. Let me just bring this up first before I go through.
My comments.
Zach's
comments. Sorry, Zach said we still talking. Yes, we're still talking.
Yeah. Zach asked. Mike asked Dominica about pirates.
So let's.
Hey, Dominica. Pirates?
What is it about pirates?
Good quality Blu-ray. He is referring to a pornographic Blu-ray that I used to own and no longer have. There's a porno called
I know of this.
Pirates. Yeah.
I know of this. At the time that it came out, it was what, 2004, right?
You know the year it came out?
I do, because I was in college. And everyone went ape shit over this movie, not because it was one of those porn movies that everyone wanted to watch, but because say what?
Was it a high production value?
Yes.
At the time, it was the most expensive porn ever made.
Interesting.
So I had the sequel to it. I had Pirates 2 on Blu-ray. And the reason Zach is bringing this up is because, and if anyone's curious about the conversation that Zach and I had on a live stream about this porno, they can watch the baby reindeer stream discussion that he and I had. But yeah, so I had it on Blu-ray in Malaysia, and we watched the behind the scenes special feature on the Blu-ray at my place with a bunch of comedians, or a few of us, at one point while I was living in Malaysia. This is pre me meeting Sharad, but yeah, so that's that's what Zach is referring to there.
Zach.
I will pull up the other
All right, what else we got?
after we go through these. So Bridget Jones's Diary, which we've already discussed. As I said, I love the first one is the most classic of all of them, but the sequels are not bad either. Clueless, which obviously classic. That's the
Paul
movie.
Rudd has not aged a day since that film.
Fall in love with Paul Rudd. Absolutely.
Talk to me.
Keeping the Faith, which we've already discussed.
Love it.
I don't remember discussing that film.
That's because you went off camera to not come back and watch what I said about it after.
I probably
you
will.
watch it.
Yeah, she was doing this the entire
time. Notting Hill. Yep. It's another one that I rewatched just this past weekend in preparation for this. The Very Thought of You, which I rewatched this morning. The other title it goes by is Martha meets Daniel, Frank, and Lawrence, because that's the names of all of the characters.
That's a terrible name.
That's
which is why they renamed it. Yes, Joseph Fiennes. This is the first movie I saw Joseph Fiennes in.
Baby.
I watched this back in, when did it come out? 97, looks like. I think that's around when I watched it. I remember checking it out from a video store with my best friend at the time. And we watched it and we were just like so in love with Joseph Fiennes. This is pre-Shakespeare in Love, right? Yeah. Okay. And yeah, he's so good in it. And so he tells her like that he freezes when he gets nervous, and I was like, oh man, that's another one's like, that's just like Leigh. Just like Leigh, he freezes and it's not like,
because we were talking Batman. My initial response was, "Oh, he freezes like Mr. Freeze. He just like becomes a block of ice."
Oh, he just shuts down and does not talk.
All right, well, what else we got?
Chasing Amy, which
that's so good.
That was on the Good Housekeeping list, but it was in the 40s.
I think it was like 45.
So again, like that's another where bisexual representation. Like there was no other bisexual representation when that was at the time.
That's the movie with the Sweeney Todd musical at the end, right?
I'm not sure.
I don't think so. They have they have a lot of comic convention stuff in it. So I think the final scene is in a comic convention where he's Ben Affleck.
There's a Kevin Smith movie that I'm thinking of where the main character, and I want to say it was Ben Affleck,
Holden
has a daughter, and
Jersey Girl.
Jersey Girl, that's what it is. And at the end of the movie,
it's with Liv Tyler as well, right?
Probably. At the end of the movie, his daughter is in a school production of Sweeney Todd.
See, even Zach knew that it was Jersey Girl.
Jersey Girl, there it is. There it is. I always get Jersey Girl and Chasing Amy confused, and they're not even close to the same film.
No, Chasing Amy is they're all comic book writers and artists, and she's bisexual, and he has all these, Ben Affleck has all these hang-ups about the fact that she's had all these sexual experiences that he feels like he can't live up to.
It's inadequate,
yeah.
Next.
Next.
I gotta go.
Yeah. I have a long pile here, okay? My Best Friend's Wedding.
Nice.
Which we briefly discussed earlier. The Proposal. This is my other.
Good.
Along with Down with Love, this is my other all-time favorite.
The mother that her mother, Sandra Bullock's his mother. Sorry, or his grandmother,
Betty White.
Yeah. Oh, so good in that.
So funny.
Oh yeah.
So funny.
So good.
I need to rewatch it. It's so good.
Okay. You've got Mail.
Love it.
which we've already discussed. She's All That,
Very good.
which
I wanna
we
see that.
discussed earlier as well. You're writing that one down. Have you not seen She's All That?
I've seen parts of it. I
It's
haven't seen.
that was the classic of our generation. I
The
feel like
reimagining.
yeah.
I know.
Yeah. Someone Like You, which I
that's a nice one.
mentioned
I haven't
earlier.
even talked about Can't Hardly Wait.
I
Ooh.
have it down here though. But it's
Good.
It's the bottom of my other pile, so we'll
All
do
right.
the last one.
We'll get there.
So, The Princess Bride, which we discussed briefly.
With all the ROUSs.
Yes, 4 Weddings and a Funeral.
Nice.
Like, this really shows you how many romantic comedies I own in my collection.
You're really
like, I have
into
so
it.
many.
Yeah.
I probably have more action films in my collection, but it's a surprisingly
It's good. It's a good
higher
variety.
amount.
Yeah.
Coyote Ugly, which
Yes.
is signed by Adam Garcia,
Mhm.
Ooh.
Yeah.
who is the
Is that
romantic love
movie
interest.
worth watching?
No.
I love
videos-
it. I love this film. I really
I hear
do.
such polarizing opinions about it.
I
Well,
think if you watch the
it
music
and
video,
judge it
that's fine.
yourself. No, it's. I really love this film.
The Leanne Rimes
Um,
song, oh, so good. Yeah.
And what's it? The guy who was the dad in Roseanne, isn't it? What's his name again?
John Goodman.
Yeah.
John Goodman, yeah.
The dad in Roseanne.
Well, that's what I first saw him in. That's why. I don't know if this is counted as a rom-com, and I would not recommend it after having rewatched it yesterday. Buying the Cow. This is another Ryan
Ooh.
Reynolds film. And
Gotta put on the list.
I believe the reason that I watched it or I bought it is because Ryan Reynolds gets naked in this film too.
Mhm.
Full frontal but tucked.
Rock and roll, yeah.
And
You mean the Buffalo Bill?
yeah, I guess.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah. And the reason I don't recommend it is because there's some pedophilia kind of esque stuff into it that is not great. Yeah, I completely forgot about that when when I was rewatching it. I was like, oh.
Ever After,
True.
another movie we've not mentioned yet.
Ever After.
That's right. Yeah, the Cinderella one.
Drew
Barrymore. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Douglas
I
Ray Scott. That's right.
don't have that one either, but Muriel's Wedding, which is an Australian rom-com that you may be familiar with because it did leave the country.
I've heard of this. I've not
heard
seen
of
it, but
yeah.
I've heard of it.
And that's another one where, ugly girl, has her kind of story.
Gets her comeuppance.
This
Wait,
is
that's Toni Collette though, isn't it?
yes.
Yeah, she's beautiful. Oh, yeah,
Well,
okay.
in the film, she is not. She has like these awkward teeth and like all this stuff.
An actor acting. Yeah.
This is another. This is a Kevin Smith one, I think. Yes. Another Kevin Smith. Zack and Mary make a
I
corner.
love that movie.
I love that movie. So
You know what?
good.
I
Really
think I've
funny.
still only seen it once when I saw it in the movie theater. I don't think I've watched it since I bought it. Like, I don't think I have. So I need to rewatch that
So
one.
good.
Pop it in.
Is
Made
this
with
is-
real porn stars.
Yep, I can confirm.
I wouldn't have known. Okay. I don't know if this counts as a rom-com. You can tell me. You, Me, and Dupree?
Yeah, sort of. It's more of a buddy comedy, though, I'd say.
That's so. I remember the cover of that, and that's also another one that has been vexing me.
Of whether or not you've seen it or whether you wanted to see it.
One that I have wanted to see, but I just never got around to, and I can't ever remember the name of it. What's the other one where Ben Stiller is a priest?
No, a priest rather than a rabbi.
Oh,
A rabbi.
Keeping the faith is a rabbi.
It's Keeping the Faith.
Keeping the faith.
Yeah, in the
Okay.
face.
All right.
Yeah.
Wedding Crashes.
Classic.
Great movie.
I'm just a huge fan of Owen Wilson, so like I will watch him in
Yeah.
anything, even if it's terrible. I think he's done a bunch of terrible films too. Whatever It Takes, which is the other She's All That film.
Is that James Franco? Yeah, it is.
Looks like it.
James Franco, Shane West, and Aaron Paul is in this.
Really? Wow.
Yes.
Does he say bitch at all in the film?
I think
Does he
this
say
is where
magnets?
I can't remember if I can't remember if it's just like a small role or a bigger role. Might have been the best friend.
It must have been small
Anyway.
if he's not on the cover.
Yeah, but he's not one of the main characters. He was either the best friend or had like I think the one where he had a small like just an extra kind of role was Van Wilder. I think that's the one I was thinking of.
Oh, okay.
No, I think he's the best friend of the main guy who is the good guy in that film.
Cool.
And so that was like the first thing that I saw Aaron Paul, and I was like, oh man, he's amazing. And that was the reason I watched Breaking Bad, because I knew who Aaron Paul was from that film. The Wedding Singer.
10 out of 10.
Which we brought up earlier. I think this is a romantic comedy, but it's raunchy. There's something about Mary.
It's a total rom-com.
It's been a long time since I've seen it, so that was another one that I should have rewatched that. And the last one, which Mike already mentioned, which is Can't Hardly Wait, which I love this one too.
Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Jennifer Love Hewitt. I like Seth Green. He's my favorite. So. And Breckin Meyer's in this one too, right? I think so.
Whenever I think of Can't Hardly Wait, I always think of the Topher Grace movie, Take Me Home Tonight.
I haven't seen that one.
It was like mid-2000s. It was like an 80s throwback.
2011, yeah. Okay.
It's not the best movie, but it's fun.
Huh, okay.
Watch.
Chris Pratt's in that too. Nice.
Is he?
Yeah. Wow.
My dad said to be careful because he hears people get shows pulled for using that ORN word. Other casters use corn instead.
I concur. I've heard that too.
That's
really.
Other stuff is
the algorithm might pick it up and either demonetize or they'll pull down the stream.
I don't make money from this anyway, so
the internet is for corn. The internet is for corn.
I love corn. You love corn.
Right. I'm going to pull up the next few comments that we have here just before we end. So Daniel says, eventually there'll be a movie where Meg Ryan falls in love with herself. I would not be surprised. They would probably be a good film, actually. Because self-love.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
That's pretty good. I like that.
Another Hugh Jackman
Australian
called.
I got halfway through that movie and I couldn't.
Which one was that?
Australia.
The film itself is called Australia. Yeah, it's not a comedy.
That's like a period piece.
Yeah,
right?
Yes, it was a period piece. It was another Baz Luhrmann film production.
Right.
Yeah. Daniel says, "Dirty pirate innuendo, arg, baby. Would you like me to put me peg leg in your poop deck?" Oh my god. Oh, that's a real pirate reference. You know, I did not know what a poop deck was until I was writing my novel Adrift. When I had to write references of what things are
we got more commentos.
No, the other one that I didn't pull up was from Zach saying that Ben Affleck and Liv Tyler for the Jersey Girl film. So that's where we're at. You guys, I think Mike said he needs to leave.
Before I go, I am going to plug
yes
my brand new television show.
Yes, Michael.
If I can get, is that going to work?
Yep. Can you tell us what the television show is about, Mike, please?
Yes. It is called Pineapple Improv, live from Times Square, where we will be, we'll just be doing Whose Line Is It Anyway, with a little bit of long form improvisation at the end of the show. Our very first show date is May. Hey, you pulled it in.
March.
Okay, check that out.
March 5th.
March 5th is our first show. It streams live on Zeem. It's an app. It's a brand new streaming service called Zeem. So, yeah, just go to the website, pineappleimprov.com, and all of the information is there. You can come get tickets, free tickets, to come see the show live, or you can stream it live via Zeem.
Question.
Can you watch it not live? Is it still available?
Yes, it will be available a few days after.
Question. Because it is live and this is improv, will you be accepting feedback from the audience to incorporate into the act?
Not for a first show, maybe not for a second show, but yes, I
maybe down the line eventually.
Yeah, I definitely want to have that element. So I want to bring other people in. Now, the one thing that I am unsure about is if this is if Zeem is available to stream international. That I don't know. I don't know if it's available outside of the United States, but I do know that as producer of the show, I maintain the rights to the content that we create. So I will be putting out all the shows on YouTube afterwards.
There you go. Cool. So that'll be on the Pineapple Improv YouTube channel.
Right. Yep.
That's good to know as well. And
that's awesome.
It starts at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time.
Correct.
In the US. How long is the show? Is it like a
45 minutes?
45 minutes.
Oh, okay. That's a very tight 45. Okay.
I asked because the first 20 minutes I have my therapy appointment, so I can't watch the very beginning of it.
Yes.
So
I saw your comment today.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to know, like, how long is it, and like, would I be able to watch it after the fact if I'm not able to watch it live? Because
yes,
yeah, I would like to support if I can, and yeah,
it will be on Zeem. When you open the app on Zeem, it's not up just yet. It'll be up in the next week or so. It'll definitely be up before the first show. But you're going to see a Pineapple Improv tab. It'll be prominently featured right in the app, which is crazy. It's crazy. Awesome.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
It's weird. It's so weird.
Good for you, man. I'm so happy and proud of you. That's amazing.
No, it is absolutely awesome.
Which is actually the reason that this live stream started late, because I had a last minute production meeting, which delayed this live stream. So sorry, everyone, but thank you.
Zach says Temu version of Zoom is Zeem.
Yeah, that's what people have been saying. The more that I'm like, hey, check out Zeem. It's called Zeem. And yeah, everyone's like, so it's not Zoom? Yes, it is not Zoom. All right, I'll go Zeem it.
We'll Zeem it.
Zach enjoyed the show. Good times, guys. Thank you for joining, Zach. I always appreciate when you tune in. You may not have been able to be a guest on the show with us, but lovely to have you in the chat section.
Agreed.
Yeah. Maybe we'll do another part 2 romantic comedy stream after we've watched some other rom-coms. So after Mike has watched through all of the ones that he just has
I also definitely want to do like a deep cut horror film.
Oh yeah, horror for sure.
Yeah, that would be really fun.
Yeah, cool. I mean, I did the live stream about 90s teen horror films, but you could do one that's across the board more horror.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
And then it'll be like last time where Zach was like, you haven't seen that. I think Sharad, you were like that as well. It's like, you haven't seen this one, you haven't seen this one. So I need to watch more horror films before we do that.
Yeah. I'll send you a list.
Yeah.
It'll be deep.
Yes. Please send me a list.
And then we see the next, she'll be like completely traumatized, like this is going on.
like when you think horror, you think like, all right, you know, Freddie, Jason, you know,
I've seen a lot of the classics,
yeah,
but
Paranormal Activity.
but no, I have at least watched most of the Insidious films since that horror live stream because both you and Zach said that I needed to watch that one.
So good.
And I'm really glad for that recommendation.
There's
I
some
enjoyed
really
them.
weird cinema out there that is, and also,
But we
and it's
sometimes
both.
you need those to balance everything out, right?
You do,
So,
yeah. And even for the ones that crap the bed, like sometimes they're still pretty good.
yeah, they're so bad they're good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For sure.
So we'll figure out a time to schedule more of these discussing media stuff at some point. They're more sporadic. I don't have an upcoming stream for Real Talk with the Vulnerable Angel and Friends, but we might schedule it soon. After the stream ends, we'll figure out a time for the next one. But just follow the channel, Dominica Creates, and subscribe. That's how you get the notifications. Find out when we're going live. That's the best way. Like, comment, share it with your friends if you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for tuning in, and hope to see you at the next one.